Hi everyone, and welcome to today's video. If this is the first time that you're seeing me, I am the Hermit Tarot and this is my YouTube channel. I'm doing this reading a little bit differently than what I've been doing recently. I actually had the random motivation to do this topic. Today is filming day. That was scheduled into my weekly planner, but I just kind of left it up to fate. I said, Spirit, take the wheel. What reading should I do? In theme with Taurus season, this is probably going to be my last Taurus based reading. We are asking Spirit, how do people see your beauty? Now, there will be messages on YouTube as well as in the extended reading, but before I talk about what these readings are going to cover, I just want to give a little disclaimer. Because this is a Taurus inspired reading, it can be incredibly helpful for you to know your Venus sign to help enrich the messages. Knowing what sign Venus is in your natal chart can boost some of the information that I'm giving you, as well as confirm what I'm giving you. And speaking of confirmation, I would encourage you to ask for signs of confirmation to claim this general reading as your own. And those signs could be animals, objects, words, colors, shapes, literally anything. I'm going to purposefully use decks that have a lot of different imagery, so nothing is too weird, and that can be a wonderful way of interacting and also setting your intentions to claim messages that are helpful and using discernment to release messages that aren't helpful as well. So here's what we're covering here on YouTube. I'm going to open your reading by getting quick messages to boost your self-esteem, and then using my very honest style of reading, I'm going to read you first. How do you see yourself? And then how are those around you perceiving you? To close your YouTube reading, we're asking Spirit, how can you use this information to your advantage? And that's the kind of closing advice. Your extended reading focuses more on some of the gaps in those questions, so it's still the same topic of how people are seeing your beauty, but the first question we're asking is, how are your love interests seeing you? We're also going to ask, what is the common misconception about you? Then we're going to have a look at how your self-identity may be limiting your expansion or experiences, and we're closing your reading by looking at, I've just put it down as let the universe boost your self-esteem real quick, just so you can finish all of that with a positive message. So I'm going to take you into the pick a group portion now, where you'll need to choose a group that you feel most drawn to in order to claim your reading. Take your time selecting a group. It's usually an intuitive process. If you have any other methods that you use, please share them below, as that can be helpful for people who struggle to select groups. If you want help with the intuitive selection, I do have a guided meditation that will play right after the pick a group portion, and that can help connect you to your intuition so you can intuitively select a group. When you know where to go, the timestamps are your best friend. Click on the timestamp to join me in your reading. To open your meditation, I'm going to ask you to take in 3 deep, mindful breaths. I want you to breathe in for 3 seconds and breathe out for 3 seconds. I will be guiding you through this. Make sure you're comfortable. Focus on the sound of my voice, and let's begin. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. Last breath. Breathe in, 1, 2, 3, and out, 1, 2, 3. From this relaxed place, observe the groups in your mind. It can help if your eyes are closed. Is there a specific color you feel most drawn to right now? Perhaps it was a phrase I spoke about in the intro. Allow your relaxed mind to guide you to a group you are being most drawn to. Remember, your intuition is not a loud voice, but it is a strong voice, and it knows which of these groups contains the most honest messages for you. Allow it to guide you through symbols, colors, objects, and phrases that will connect you with the group that holds the most clear, honest messages for you. If you need more time, pause the video or repeat this meditation. Hi Group 1, and welcome to your reading. If you recognize the symbol at the start of your reading, then you're in the right place. This is going to be a tarot card reading with oracle cards where we're asking Spirit, how are people seeing your beauty? Now here's what we're covering all together. I've made little notes of decks that I'm going to use. You can find this information in the description box and the pinned comment. I find going over it so many times can honestly take the joy out of what I do. So I've written it down to help you stay on track with where we're at. I'll be referring to this so that I can stay on track as well. Before I open your reading, I'm going to set my intentions to ensure that I'm tuning into the right energy and to make sure that I'm getting the most helpful messages for you. So I highly recommend you also set your intentions and consider signs of confirmation that you may need to set as well before we get into it. So Spirit, please tune me into Group 1's energy. Please help me offer Group 1 the most clear, honest messages for their reading today. Thank you, Spirit. So I do feel a strong Archangel Raphael presence in your reading, just to get straight into the hoodoo voodoo. And I think that, you know, whether you believe in the archangels or not, this is in reference to your heart space. Group 1, you are an energy. I'm going to write that down actually. You are an energy that is surrounded by love, compassion, and there's just a strong green color coming through. And I'm actually filming your reading before I've chosen your symbol for your group, so I might keep that in mind when I choose your symbol. But a really strong green color is coming through, and it has this sort of mossy feeling to it. It feels very strong, and it feels almost earthy, and it feels loving. And I just think that you are someone who definitely needs to know that you are loved. So let's have a look at how I can boost your self-esteem now to help you see that and to just confirm maybe what you already know. We're going to start with the Dream Cards Oracle. Spirit, what quick messages can you offer Group 1 about their self-identity to boost their self-esteem? Okay, we're going to take that card. We will take that one because 2 came out. I'm not going to take love away from you, goodness. And then from the Beltane Oracle, this oracle is a little bit more conceptual, so it's going to make me work hard to get the messages, but there was a lot of symbolism in these cards. For Group 1, please Spirit, what card may help boost Group 1's self-esteem? What card identifies with Group 1's beauty? Spirit, what card? Oh, okay. We've got Boundaries, the number 3. And at the back of the deck is Sacrifice, which is the number 36. And that's what this card says. Pause it if you want to read it all. I just thought I'd show you that, just in case the number is helpful. Spirit, what affirmations will help boost? Thank you, Spirit. And here's your affirmation card from the Dreamy Moons affirmation deck. Okay, so interesting cards. The first card that came out is like a yellowy green color. And then we had this beautiful tealy blue. I guess color is subjective as well, so I'm just going off of what I'm seeing, but 100% trust your objective or subjective experience as well. To boost your self-esteem, I feel as though Spirit really wants you to just take time to appreciate your physical vessel. There is a strong reference here towards grounding yourself and simply showing up for yourself and existing confidently within your skin, And this is also about highlighting how, in terms of your physical appearance, that changes daily and especially over time. The way that you look is impacted by the natural process of aging, and learning and knowing how to love yourself as you are uniquely in every moment is a big part of this message. And so your spiritual team wants you to really connect with your body. And this message is about admiring your body's strengths rather than focusing on your body's weaknesses. Admiring the fact that your body was able to even bring you to this reading, that you've had enough energy and awareness and cognitive function to be able to open YouTube and find this reading, and then that you're able to do things to protect your body as well. The universe and spirit, I interchange those terms lately because I've been blurring the lines a little bit with what I've been studying, but I do believe that Spirit's message is about protecting your vessel and praising you for the changes and the choices that you've made that honor your body, how you feel in that moment. And I feel for some of you, these choices have even alienated you from people, as though at times you've had to choose to be alone instead of around a certain type of people who don't make you feel good about yourself. And there is extra praise to those who have even been more aware socially on social media platforms about the types of people that you're interacting with and following, because of how those interactions impact the way that you see yourself. So I feel that to boost the way that you look and the way that you see yourself, the universe is strongly supporting your boundaries, obviously, your connection to self, your awareness of your capacity. And with this card, this affirmation is about grounding yourself in the moment and taking a time to focus on nature, because it can be exceptionally therapeutic, but it can also help distract you from the things you can't control. So there's a lot of praise here for your awareness of self, for your adaptability in situations that don't feel safe, either because they aren't good for your mental health, or because they aren't good for your self-esteem, or because there was a physical, element at play in which you may have been physically unsafe around a certain type of person. Now, having a look at these dream cards, now is the time to start doing what's good for you. Don't wait any longer. Life has an expiration date. This is very similar to what we felt in terms of the choices that you're making and the actions that you're taking, and how that aligns with what's right for you. I think with Archangel Raphael coming through so strongly, that sort of love and openness and compassion and unconditional acceptance or love can also make people targets. And with the boundaries card here, I feel Archangel Raphael is working with you to protect you. And there's a lot of praise in this portion of your reading for how you're showing up for yourself and protecting yourself. So I'm also being referred to routines that have changed in order to honor your capacity, which include environments. There's certain places you just don't go anymore because it's not good for you. even if it's good for other people, it wasn't good for you, whether that was just your mental health, like we discussed, or your physical health, or your self-esteem. And then there is also that awareness of how honoring yourself and protecting yourself is about honoring how your needs change. And I talked about that in terms of like your body naturally ages, but your needs can change in a split second. And it's up to you to stay tuned into that. So I feel your message is very far out there, but there's a lot of praise about being aware of how to set yourself up for success by knowing where your capacity is, what boundaries you should have in place, and by focusing your time, your energy onto things that are good for you. Now, this card says, if you live like you've always lived, you'll get the same as you've always had. You must decide to make a change towards your dreams. Decide on what you need to change, and you will be rewarded with a new sense of achievement. I'm going to try not to talk too much more, but what I'm picking up here is that Spirit is praising you for recognizing that certain things need to change. And I'm keen to kind of get into your reading to see how this impacts the way you see yourself and how others are seeing you. But I think ultimately you are not afraid to recognize stagnation, to recognize boredom, to recognize a lack of development and progress, and to be able to go, I'm not settling. And you know, it's actually something that a lot of societies foster. A lot of societies thrive on routine and the suppression of change, because the consistency is what keeps those societies functioning. And it could be because, you know, you're in a generation where you guys are more adaptable and you guys are it's more acceptable for you to change career or change your mind in any way. But that doesn't mean that everybody believes the same thing. So there's acknowledgement here of how you're going against the status quo at times in order to do what's best for you. You're having to contend with other people's limiting beliefs in order to do what is right for you. And that's hard when you're having to also, you know, get over yourself, and then you're met with someone who doesn't believe in you. So your angels are encouraging you to stay on the path that you're on, to commit to the changes that are going to be best for you, even if they disrupt the status quo, and to keep doing what is good for you. Don't wait any longer. Boundaries are what is going to make it more helpful. The change can be more smooth with the right boundaries in place, addressing your needs and your capacity to put boundaries in place that are considerate of how, you know, much is changing in your life. And then grounding yourself as well is going to be exceptionally helpful. And if you're doing all of that, props to you, immense praise to you, and confirmation that it is going to get easier. So I hope that was helpful. It kind of turned into a bit of a guidance reading, but I hope that also boosted your self-esteem and your belief in yourself, your self-efficacy, and also just helped you feel a little bit more considerate of your vessel and some of the changes that your body is going through because of the changes that your life is going through. Aging is normal. Our bodies hold tension from our metaphysical change as well. So it might be helpful to do a little bit of research into that. There's a lot of creators online that talk about it, but if you want to, you know, just make sure you're not getting misinformed, I would encourage you to do your own research off social media platforms as well and see what you find. So let's have a look now at how you see yourself. I'm going to use this oracle deck. It's the Dreamer's Tarot. It's actually a photographer's life work. It took them 10 years to do this. So lots of symbolism. And the sweet soul didn't put their name on this. So hopefully, if you're interested, you can find them online. It's been a while since I've talked to them, so I'm not sure what their name is anymore. Spirit, for my group ones, how do they see themselves? How does group 1 see themselves? Wow. Okay, we've got the Tower, we have the 2 of Water, and at the back of the deck is the 10 of Fire. And we're also getting an astrology card from the Arcana of Astrology Oracle deck. Spirit, how does group 1 see themselves? How does group 1 see themselves? I feel like those quick messages weren't that quick. No, I was talking for like 12 minutes. 10 minutes is quick apparently. So we have the 7th house reversed. Wow. So we're going to talk about you, and then we're going to bring more cards out to have a look at how others are perceiving you right now. But at the back of the deck is Taurus. That may be helpful. The color purple could be helpful. The number 7 is also the 7th house, which is connected to Libra, which could be helpful. And Libra has a connection to Venus. So Mars energy, Taurus energy, 2 of Cups to me is compromise, which would be, to me, that's Cancer, but I could be wrong there. Scorpio as well, 2 of Cups. The 10 of Fire is the 10 of Wands, which is a strong, energetic release of responsibility and burden. So it's giving Jupiter energy, it's giving Mars. For that reason, there's some Sagittarius and Aries here. Now, looking at how you see yourself, I can immediately tell that you're quite hard on yourself, group 1. I can immediately tell that you are someone that struggles with balancing discipline and compassion for self, because they do go hand in hand. There are times when the amount of expectations you have for yourself, in terms of those being very high, you having high expectations, can be very helpful, because it sets you up for this strong sort of work ethic where if you expect more from yourself than others expect, then you feel that you're always going to be successful in the eyes of others, but you don't always live up to your own expectations. And so at times, if you're not careful, you could project that by being hypercritical of your partners or those who are close to you, or by cutting yourself short, by not accepting opportunities that you are fully capable of, because you assume it's going to be too much work, or it's going to be too difficult, or that you're not going to have enough support from other people. And I think you're someone that was either conditioned by yourself or by other people to really have to rely on yourself. You don't seem to truly trust people easily, but at the same time you need a lot of people with the 7th house reversed. So I would say that you do struggle with self-esteem, or at least self-efficacy, in that with the 10 of Wands reversed, you sometimes struggle to see things through and to truly believe in yourself until the end. And at times this can also cause you to burn out and cause you to take on more than you can manage, and it feels like you're setting yourself up for failure instead of setting yourself up for success. At this point, I think that you're quite aware of this, and you are consciously having to be careful about how the way that you see yourself impacts the choices you make and the partners you choose. I think you're aware of how your choice in partners and responsibility changes based on your self-esteem. And with the 7th house reverse, the relationship that you have with yourself seems to be very reliant upon external support as well, as though you need your partners or your loved ones or those that you look up to confirm that you're doing enough, you are enough, and you're a valued person in any given room. I think with the 7th house reversed, sometimes you may project insecurities onto other people, and those are usually people closest to you. Could be friends, but this could also be lovers. This could also be, colleagues, people who you're responsible for. If you ever find yourself in management positions, you may project and insecurity onto people who seem more capable than you. And you've got to be very careful about that bleeding into those relationships and damaging those relationships from time. With that being said, I can see with the Tower card reverse that you have been through a lot. Subjectively, your journey here that brought you to this reading has been filled with unexpected, sudden turns of events that have impacted your entire life. They've impacted, your career, your lifestyle, your health, your relationships, your financial security, your education, like everything has been impacted by quite significant events. And I think that the way that you see yourself at the moment is that you're actively working on showing up for yourself more, based on the fact that you're realizing with the Tower card reversed that you're the only consistent relationship in your life. No matter how wonderful the support network of people around you are, the relationship you have with yourself is so important because it's the only stable, constant relationship that you're going to have. And therefore it needs extra attention, time, and almost like management. So with the Tower card reversed, I believe that the way that you see yourself changes. And I think that you're actively working on improving it. I think that you're actively identifying issues. And I also think that you're almost very protective of yourself now because of what you've been through. There is a feeling here of constantly having to prioritize yourself because you at times get carried away in the chaos of other people's lives or of other responsibilities, and then one thing leads to another, and all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, I haven't shaved in like 2 months, or I haven't actually had a proper skincare routine in nearly a year. And so I think that when these big moments happen, it's very easy for you to forget to look after yourself. And that's what the crux of this message is. It's about the relationship that you have with yourself and how at times you're not showing up for yourself enough. But at this stage that you're here, I feel you're aware of that. And I actually think that you're doing a wonderful job at prioritizing your relationship with self, because I can see with the 7th house and Taurus being here that you do have some serious responsibilities in your life. You may be married, you may have children, you may have a lot of responsibilities within a workplace or within your education. And it could be that your family puts a lot of responsibility on you in very unique and sometimes inconsistent ways. With Taurus reversed, it's not always that they have high expectations of you, but it could feel like all of a sudden everybody wants something from you at once. And for that reason, it's hard for you to maintain a consistent self-care routine for self as well. With the 2 of Cups reversed, group 1, I think that you are always at odds with yourself in some way. And it's interesting because I don't think this is a bad thing. I think that you're going to be one of those people in life who actually know themselves very, very well, because you're able to know your biases and you're able to identify your weaknesses and you're able to be honest about your fears. And so there is this emotional intelligence within you that I think a lot of other people need to actively learn, maybe due to the way that they were conditioned. Whereas it's almost like the things that you could objectively see as weaknesses are actually your strengths, group 1. The 2 of Cups reversed tells me you're very aware of your shadow. And at the end of the day, you're very aware of the things that are considered weaknesses or limits or fears. And it's that awareness that helps you show up as a wonderful friend, as an insightful partner, and as someone who is usually never wrong. Like, I'm sorry, but I think that if people are trying to put words in your mouth and tell you you are this, you are that, you can very quickly go, no, I'm not. Even if you don't have the courage and confidence to say it, your mind goes, no, I'm not. I know what I am. I'm afraid of heights. I'm not afraid of snakes. Like, don't project that onto me. And there's a stubbornness here of that energy, but I truly believe it is a strength. And I think that if you can see it that way too, that's going to be a part of how you can use this information to your advantage. The fact that you know the things that you're afraid of, the things you don't want to do, and the limits that you have put in place, even if it seems irrational to others, because the Two of Cups is about your personal feelings, right? It's not about, is someone right, is someone wrong? It's about observing your personal feelings and having a conversation about them that is safe and accepting, because usually those kinds of conversations are centered around, well, how do we move forward? So knowing that is a powerful first step that makes you a wonderful friend, partner. I think that the people in your life really know where they stand with you, and you're probably a great person to do experiences with, because you're very clear about the fact that, whatever fears you have. So it wouldn't make sense if you're afraid of heights for your friends to book a ziplining tour through Costa Rica, like that kind of stuff, unless you gave them permission and you said, I'm going to try to overcome this fear. So I do think you have some Scorpio placements in your chart, which could be your Mercury sign, could be your Venus, but it just feels like there is this connection to your shadows that makes you a helpful person. And I think there are times where you think that's not a strength, it's a weakness. It's something that limits your ability to form meaningful connections, because you feel like you have this stubbornness within yourself. But with the Two of Cups reversed, the way that you see yourself is a lot more authentic and well-rounded than others, because you're honest about the shadows as much as you are the strengths, and that takes a lot of courage and awareness and intelligence. So with the Ten of Fire, we talked about that card being a card of assessing capacity, because we've burnt out. We're in a situation where the expectations were higher than the realistic outcome, and there's no way out but to crash and burn. So how does this reflect the relationship that you have with yourself? I think that you've had to learn the hard way multiple times. I think you have had to crash and burn. I think that you are constantly having to remind yourself to take care of yourself. And I also think that people are very quick to judge you for the way that this happens, and I don't think that's fair. So I'm keen to see, in your extended reading, we're going to have a look at what is what are the common misconceptions about you. So I'm keen to see, but I think that this is one of them. I'm keen to see what else comes out. Now, in terms of how you see yourself overall, I just want to give you a little hand of applause, because, nobody is picture perfect, but your awareness of self, your connection to self, and the life that you are expected to lead in this timeline is really about bridging that compassion and understanding, and knowing when to hold a magnifying glass up to your own actions and behaviors, and knowing when to just let it go. So I think that you are always learning when to be self-critical, when to have these reasonably high expectations, and then when to actually just let it crash and burn, so that you can start again and just focus on that foundation of stability, which is your relationship with self. Let's have a look now at how those around you are perceiving you right now. I do think that if it's been a while, you guys may need to engage in some talking therapy, just to help validate your feelings and your experiences. And it's important that you're patient with the process. I think in every nation, it's really hard to have that therapy, whether it's a funding issue or just there's not enough therapists available. But I think it's important for you to feel validated, so that you're testing that high expectation that you have of yourself, and actually just finding ways to instead be more compassionate for what you're going through, and going like, wow, that was hard actually. that was a lot, and you're doing enough, you are enough. So that can be a more professional way of seeking that validation as well, instead of accidentally relying upon people who don't know what they're doing. You know, like our loved ones, bless them, can be wonderful sources of support, but at times they're not good at systemically validating us. They can make us feel like that validation is conditional, or that we have to work for it, or that we're silly for needing it, and when really we just need to feel like we are enough in that moment. So let's have a look at how those around you are perceiving you now. How are those around them perceiving their beauty? The full moon. I think I'm just going to leave it there. And we have Venus at the back of the deck. Okay, we'll keep her. All right. How are those? Actually, I don't think I need to go out. I just need to keep everything in frame. How are those around group 1 seeing their beauty? How are those around group 1 seeing their beauty? Okay, we have the 8 of Wands reversed. We have the 6 of Swords reversed. And we have the Sun of Wands reversed with the 9 of Pentacles at the back of the deck. So I'm just going to go ahead and say that having a high expectations of yourself is felt and received by the people around you. Group 1, you're coming through as a physically attractive person who puts a lot of effort into looking good. You are naturally attractive, but there's the little things you do that make you even more objectively attractive, as in a large group of people, not just this person, that person, and maybe her over there. A large group of people would agree that you are attractive. Look at your bottom deck energies, and this is probably going to boost your self-esteem more than the start of your reading. But people are perceiving your beauty as one that is both naturally beautiful and like there is effort put in. And so you're getting praise, compliments, and noticed in general by a large group of people, mixed, backgrounds, mixed genders, like everything, everyone. And with Venus being here, the primary feeling is that, wow, that person takes care of themselves. That person, has this way of just, and for some reason I'm getting this message from people who get to see you consistently, but that person has a way of just knowing themselves and showing up for themselves. And even when you change the way that you're dressed, you don't have as much time in the mornings, or, it's been a while between hair appointments. With the Venus card here, people are admiring your beauty. And it's the way that you just seem to be comfortable in your skin is what people are noticing, which is interesting because Libra reversed would argue, well, actually the 7th house reversed in the first part of your reading would argue that your expectations are so high of yourself that you're not comfortable in your own skin, and that it takes a lot of conscious effort for you to accept your physical appearance. So that's interesting. That's another misconception we've identified, but I'm going to stop because that's supposed to be for the extended reading only. Don't want to take that away from people that are spending money, but I got a bit too keen. And I do feel with this Venus card that overall you're like a gift. You're a gift to see. People are receiving your effort. People are acknowledging your appearance. And when you do, with the 9 of Pentacles here, put that consistent effort over time into the way that you look, the way that you smell, the way that you sound, like the way that you carry yourself, it's felt. And that's what people are noticing, is they're seeing your beauty as one that is important to you. And for that reason, other people feel it is important. They acknowledge you, they meet you, and they go, okay, so this person takes pride in their appearance. Taking care of themselves is important to them. And because of that, with this Virgo energy, I feel that people are seeing your beauty as one that takes, time. It doesn't just, I woke up like this, or, I've always been this good. Like, no, people who are in the know They know that, you put time into your routine, you put time into working out, you put time into eating right, drinking enough water, getting enough sleep. You put time into making certain appointments to ensure that your skin is glowing. Like, you put time into your hair care, your skin care, your makeup, like your dress, whatever it is, people are noticing that you put time in. And I do think that with this card being here, there is a lot of compliments. So if you're not receiving them, this is happening behind your back. And I do see that actually with the Six of Swords reversed and actually all these cards. There's a lot of people who for some reason aren't telling you this to your face. And even family members, you're the kind of beautiful person where maybe your glow up took time, and there were signs that you were working on yourself, and there were signs that you were putting more effort in. But for the people that get to see you regularly, it may have felt like it was a work, like it happened so slowly that they don't compliment you enough. They were just sort of getting used to the fact that, oh yeah, group one is just, that's what they do. They go and they get their hair done, or they get their eyelashes done, or they go get their nails done, or they collect shoes, and they've been, making more money. So they're putting more money into their appearance. And maybe these people don't praise you enough, because let's get into the cards that came out secondarily. So with the full moon card reverse, sorry, throat chakra is closing up. Archangel Gabriel, please help me use the right words, because apparently I'm rambling, wasting time. Yeah, we're already at 35 minutes, definitely wasting time. Okay, with the full moon card reversed, people are seeing your beauty as one that has layers. And I think not everybody gets to see the true you. I think that strangers get this fleeting sort of awareness of, wow, that's an interesting looking person. And with the full moon card here, you come through as someone that's quite soft, as someone that has a sweetness, but also a mystery to them. And so maybe there's something about you in passing where it feels like there's more than meets the eye, and they just get that quick reception of you. For people that know you well, they know that your sense of self and style changes, like the moon cycles, and that you do try to constantly sort of maintain a specific standard, but with the full moon card reversed, it changes. What you wear and how much effort you put into the way that you look changes depending on how you feel, much like the moon cycle. Now with the Eight of Wands here, there is an awareness of how your look can at times be spontaneous and very creative, but for most of the part, you have an aesthetic with the Eight of Wands reversed, and this aesthetic is usually quite consistent. It's something that you use as a way of expressing yourself, at least that's what other people believe, and they believe that your beauty fits this aesthetic, but there is also this feeling of certain creative people looking at you and going, oh wow, I just want to dress you like a doll. Like, I think you have people wanting to project their own creative ideas onto you and kind of dress you up and change your look. I do think that if you cross paths with creative people and, you're getting your nails done or your hair done, they may say like, oh my gosh, would you let me do what I want for once? Like, would you let me? You have the perfect tone of skin for this color, or I really want to try this cut of hair on you, or I really want to try this nail set on you. Whatever it is, it feels like creative people like to project ideas onto you. And they do believe that the way that what you wear is a form of expression usually. And it's also relevant to the interests that you have. So when you're not putting a lot of effort into your appearance, people assume that it's just because, a practical matter overrode the freedom to express yourself in your clothing and your physicality. And also there's a message coming through about the way you carry yourself. So for some reason, I'm feeling as though you're a very rushed person with this card reversed, as though people aren't getting to see enough of you, or you just kind of come and go really quickly. And that's the Son of Wands energy too. So maybe they're not seeing a consistent aesthetic. They're just seeing, you know, one week you're wearing very baby doll like clothes, and then the next week you're a sports girly, and people are like, whoa, is that the same person? Wow, I didn't realize that. So there is this feeling as though you have an aesthetic, but other people believe, you know, other aesthetics would look good on you too. And so it could be a cultural thing, maybe, but people want to try to dress you up the way that they would like to because they believe it would suit your features, your physical features, not considerate of your cultural background. Speaking of cultural background, we're going to look at the Son of Wands next. This is the Knight of Wands. And this energy reversed is that sort of inconsistency that I was feeling, like you're coming and going, or you're just not always around. And so I feel like this perception is connected more towards strangers or loved ones who want to see more of you, but you're at a physical distance, or your routine's just very busy. But the Son of Wands reverse says that these people perceive your beauty as something that seems to change really quickly. It's like one week you look like this, next week you look like that, and there's something about you that is changing every time they see you. It could also be that for a certain period of time you had your hair one color, one length, and now you're experimenting a little bit. So that's the key word, I think, is experimenting with your appearance. Because of that, there's something about your beauty that feels incomparable, as though people can't even compare you to a younger version of yourself. You've glowed up and you've become somebody who stands out in a crowd. You've become somebody who looks very different to the majority. And it could be because of your cultural background, it could be because of your ethnicity, but I think that it's also about the amount of time you're putting into taking care of yourself. You look at other versions of you and how you've looked before, and I think you look very different now. With the Six of Swords reversed, there's a lot of conversations about you happening in the background, and I'm not going to feed into insecurity or jealousy or any of those feelings. But I do want to say that the main message that's coming through is compliments. I actually think with all these cards, you get a lot of compliments that you don't receive in conversations that happen behind your back. And I don't think it's malicious. I think that people are curious about you is what these cards suggest. People notice you. They notice the effort you put in. And there's actually a lot of people who may use your appearance to start conversations with you. People may come up to you and say, hey, that's a really interesting bag. Where did you get that? That's a really cool haircut. How long have you had that? Oh, wow, I've always wanted to, wear that or do that to my body. What was your experience like? And so I think that people kind of use that as an icebreaker with you sometimes. I also think that you may get unwanted attention because of how you look. And that may be something that you kind of get in your head about and you see as a bad thing. You may think, oh gosh, are people staring at me because I forgot to straighten the back of my head? Like, are people noticing that these tights have a hole in them? Are people noticing that I forgot to brush my teeth? Like, maybe you have the tendency to see it in a bad way, but for the most part, I feel this recognition is truly a positive. It's compliments. So let's have a look at how you can use all of this information to your advantage. And this is where we tap into that Taurus energy and close your YouTube reading by getting advice. So how can my group ones use this reading to their advantage? We're using this deck with some tarot. So this is the Work Your Light tarot oracle deck. Spirit, how can my group ones use this information to their advantage? How can group ones use this information to their advantage, please? How can group ones? Okay, we'll take that card. We said yes. Okay, Spirit's like, yes, just say yes. At the back of the deck is the Age of Light. You've been training for this for lifetimes. And from the tarot, let's get this deck out again. Spirit, how can my group ones use this information to their advantage? Okay, we're going to take these two cards. We have the Ace of Wands reversed, and we have the Hanged Man, which was showing up as a bit of a blockage. At the back of the tarot deck is the Eight of Cups reversed. So let's get into the general themes here, and then we'll get more specific with tarot. So generally speaking, you can use this tarot reading to start reframing some of the inner dialogue to make it more positive. Affirmative is the word Spirit wants me to use, because positive has a bit of a weight to it, doesn't it? It's not really a positive word. It comes with more expectations, right? So let's use affirmative instead. Spirit is saying the reading that we've just had together really happened so that you can understand that people mostly receive you in a very good light and are genuinely curious and have positive feelings or thoughts about you. And so when you encounter those difficulties within your own self-esteem, you can use the information in this reading to reframe those thoughts, those heavier thoughts, into more affirmative thoughts by recognizing that for the most part, people enjoy looking at you. You are just a very attractive person, and you have a very physically intriguing appearance where people want more of you. You are conventionally attractive, but there's also a recognition of how everything you do for yourself isn't easy. It takes effort, it takes time, and strangers acknowledge that, let alone your loved ones. So use this information to reframe those thoughts that you have about yourself, and where sometimes your own expectations feel extreme and unrealistic. With the Age of Light here, Spirit is saying, it's taken a lot to get you here in this lifetime. You've got to think about the fact that in order for you to be physically existing right now, lineages upon lineages of ancestors had to exist. And your physical appearance is a careful concoction of all of those people that have full lives and went through their own, tragedies and joyful experiences in order to create you. So next time that you are wrestling with feelings of insecurity, as we all do, I'm not villainizing you for that. Think about that. Think about how it's taken lifetimes of experiences and people's personal struggles and insecurities and joy to be able to create you. And the way that you look is a reflection of the people that created you. Outside of that, the feelings that you have about yourself and about how others see you is both a personal and interpersonal experience, right? We all have to deal with self-esteem, and then we all have to deal with the way that we interact with other people's esteem. So it's a song and dance that is unique and yet not at all at the same time. So give yourself grace for the highs and the lows, and acknowledge that you're not the only person that's going through it, as a way of just being able to sort of breathe and feel comfortable with the uncomfortable. I hope that makes sense. I don't know if my words are helpful at all, but that's kind of how it's coming through, is that we're all grappling with it at the same time. And there is kind of a comfort in that, in a group struggle rather than it's just you type of thing. So that kind of brings us back to that idea of you need to do what's right for you, right? And your angels were saying you're on a journey now where your boundaries are important, your belief in yourself is important, and your ability to change is important. And sticking true to what is right for you, regardless of how it looks for others, is going to really help you right now in your journey moving forward. Now, Tarot is saying that the information in this reading can help you restart, can help you kind of work some of the energy that you've perceived as being cancelled plans or a loss of interest, and really start investing that energy again. Now, this is coming through as a way of investing energy into yourself. This reading should have confirmed why it's so important for you to strengthen that relationship with self and to constantly work on that relationship with self, because it is the foundation of all your creative experiences. If you don't have a strong enough self-esteem and self-efficacy, it's going to be really hard for you to maintain other commitments, relationships, and also goals. With that being said, accept the redirections as well. You are on a journey of change, and so now is a wonderful time to think about, well, what am I going to change? What does that look like? What interests me? What excites me? How can I kind of turn things around and start fresh? And that's where the Eight of Cups was kind of coming into play at the back of the deck. The Eight of Cups is in reference to your ability to pick things up that you once walked away from, because now is a better time than before to put the right energy into those practices, into those relationships, into those habits, into those routines. You know, maybe before it was a lot, we couldn't do it, but now it's probably a better time to try to make it a meaningful experience again, and to try to build more of a joyful interaction in that situation, relationship, or routine. Now with the Hanged Man here, it was showing up as a blockage. So I think that perception is everything. I think that the relationship that you have with yourself and the way that others see you is a dangerous, delicate balance, right? We don't want to give other people too much power about how we see ourselves. We don't want to rely on them too much. But at the same time, knowing what they know and see about us can validate some of our insecurities and can invalidate them as well. So it can be a wonderful, insightful tool to step into others' shoes and to see things from their perspective in order to shed light, invalidate, validate, etc. I think that perception is the most powerful thing here that has really been highlighted in your reading. And your beauty is objectively stunning. All right, we got Venus, so you're very beautiful, but it's for some reason yourself that stands in the way, and it's your inability to see what others see beautiful about you that blocks your ability to truly love yourself. So I think that's quite normal. I just want to, validate that experience as there's nothing wrong with you. That's a very human trait to have. And I do want to say again, I think it would be helpful for you to do some talking therapy to help validate other experiences you have, let alone these self-esteem experiences that you're going through as well. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Group 1. I'm going to end your YouTube reading there. We're going to go into the extended now, where we'll have a look at all of these things. So I'm going to go over them now. We're going to have a look at how your love interests are seeing you now based on your current energy, while we're at Venus in Aries energy is here. We're also going to have a look at the common misconceptions about you. I kind of brought some up, but I'm hoping to get more information, more new information about that. And then we're having a look at your self-identity. How is your own view of yourself limiting your expansion or experiences? And to close your reading, I'm going to do a self-esteem boost from the universe just to help you finish on a high note, hopefully like this part has as well. If you want to join me in the extended, and if you're able to support me in the extended readings, the link is in the description box and the pinned comment. Make sure you click on the right group. That link takes you to a page on my website where I host all my extended readings. So remember your Group 1. Thank you, Group 1, for all of your time, your energy, and your support right here on YouTube. It's been, still clearing energy. It's been an absolute pleasure to tune in, to connect, and to be able to hopefully gas you up and help you feel better about yourself and help you see the beauty in yourself. Until we cross paths again, I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy. Bye. Welcome to your reading. If you recognize the image at the start of your reading, then this is you're in the right place. I don't know how many times I can say reading, so I got to cut myself off there. But thank you so much for exchanging energy with me. You're here because we're asking Spirit, how are people seeing your beauty? As you can see, I've got a lot to cover. This is what we're covering right here on YouTube, and this is what will be in the extended reading. Now, I'm going to have all of this listed down below in the description box and the pinned comment. So if you do want more messages, or if you want to be able to follow along with the messages, all that info's there. To open your reading, I am going to just tune into your energy and set my intentions really quickly. I highly recommend you set your intentions as well and ask for signs of confirmation so that you can claim this general reading. So I'm just going to take a moment to do that now. Spirit, please tune me into Group 2's energy. Please help me offer Group 2 the most clear, honest messages about their reading. Thank you, Spirit. I'm going to be honest, Group 2, I've come into your reading with a lot of energy, but I don't think that's a coincidence. I felt very drawn towards this crystal, and so I do believe that this red-orange color holds some significance for this group, and I am feeling a connection to the sacral chakra, which is also the number 2 of being significance. Now, those sorts of energies have a connection to Archangel Ariel and Archangel Uriel. So let's see how that relates in your reading. With that being said, knowing your Venus sign can definitely enrich this reading because we're asking about your beauty, which is very strong Venus energy. So let's get some cards out, sweet souls. Sorry to jump there, but I'm going to open your reading by boosting your self-esteem real quick. Let's have a look at what messages Spirit has that can boost your self-esteem before we have a look at how people see your beauty. For my Group 2s, please, Spirit, what messages may boost? Thank you. From the Dream Cards Oracle deck, we have, there is only one of you, and that is your strength and your gift to this world, to be unique. Honor your gift by listening to your heart, following your passion, and trusting your inner voice. And then from the Beltane Oracle deck, I know it's spring in the Northern Hemisphere, so this deck may hold some significance to those in the Northern Hemisphere, but it's just a deck with a lot of powerful imagery. So Spirit, what card from this deck may boost, offer messages that can boost Group 2's self-esteem? Okay. Bees or this sign could be significant. I'm shaking a lot. I had a coffee and I've just been sitting still and it's showing. We've got the caffeine jitters. So there's the number 1 on this card, and it says, don't drink all of life from one flower, for there are many to taste and many to explore. And this card was actually reversed, which is very interesting. And then last card will be from our Dreamy Moons Affirmations Oracle deck. And these are just affirmation cards, but there is also imagery on them. Spirit, for my Group 2s, what quick message may help boost Group 2's self-esteem? Group 2, alrighty. I forgive myself and set myself free. Is that going to focus? Yeah. Interesting. Now, here's the card at the back of the Dreamy Moons. Pause if you want to read it. Here's the card at the back of the Beltane Oracle. Again, pause if you want to read it. The number 28 could be significant. And here's the card at the back of the Dream Cards Oracle deck. Pause if you want to read it. Now, the word miracles is definitely standing out to me. I feel Spirit wanting to talk about you and the fact that you being here was a choice that you made in this lifetime. And that's making me think that you have struggled with self-esteem, or at least self-confidence. And some of you may have even been through some pretty dark roads of mental health struggles as well. So there is something about being able to move forward and choosing to move forward for yourself. There's a strong feeling here of choosing to live, as though it was easy at certain times in your life to just give up and to just sort of succumb to the challenges you're encountering. These cards show me someone who's very internally strong. And I think that not a lot of people get the privilege of understanding that about you, knowing that about you. And I don't think a lot of people get to truly appreciate how strong you are on the inside. And your spiritual team especially are just wanting you to be, I'm wanting to acknowledge that, because I do think that I don't think you're ignorant towards that. I think that you're a group that maybe keeps a lot to themselves. But I'm getting this imagery of someone who, is physically small, but internally this huge person. So I feel like your inner strength is immeasurable compared to your physical attributes. And because of that, a lot of these messages are about acknowledging that as part of your beauty. Spirit wants you to see your resilience, your flexibility, your adaptability, your experiences as part of what makes you beautiful, unique, and attractive, because you have this, they're all qualities that make you you. So this card over here, the imagery in terms of the colors are very similar to that reddy orange in just a pastel tone, I guess. There's kind of like a pinky red here. I don't know how it's showing up on camera. Maybe you have a different suggestion about what this color could be. I'd be very keen to see your interpretations if you feel confident in commenting down below. But I do think that this card is about showing you and reminding you that there are many different things that make you beautiful. And we're going to talk about your physical beauty, but I think that this part of your reading is acknowledging your inner world. And the key words on this card for me are strength, you're a gift to this world, unique, heart, passion, and your inner voice. So I feel Spirit is really wanting to acknowledge all of those internal qualities of strength and qualities that people find admirable, and that people can really, maybe you're very selective about who you open up to and who you share your story with, and how deep you go when people ask certain questions about what you've been through or what you're currently going through. But there is acknowledgement here energetically that you're very strong and that you've been through quite a lot, or you're going through a lot right now, and that the best way you can continue to move forward is by honoring your unique voice and trusting your inner voice. There is a feeling here of also, with this energy here, listening to your heart. And that could be especially relevant to this message, I forgive myself and set myself free. I feel a message like that comes through when we've been through something that challenged the trust and relationship that we have with ourselves as well as others. So maybe you went through an experience where your connection to self was really tested. You may have made choices or done something that you feel betrayed yourself, whether it was your interest that was betrayed, your love, your trust. But I think that moving forward for you is about learning from those experiences, understanding more about yourself and others, and really coming home to yourself by forgiving yourself for not knowing better, because that's what life is about. That's how we learn. Unfortunately, we have to, make these mistakes in order to gain wisdom. And it's really a natural process. Nothing is permanent in that sense. The nature of life is to evolve and to grow. And Spirit is saying maybe this is an affirmation that you should be saying more to yourself, to give yourself the grace, the compassion, and the understanding needed in order to strengthen that trust and that connection with your inner voice. So I forgive myself and set myself free. And the cycles of the moon, I feel, are very intentionally placed on this card. It is a symbolism of femininity and cycles of emotion, of hormones with our uteruses, if you have one. And you know, the feminine energy itself, if you're tuning into it, regardless of what your body contains and what your anatomy is, the feminine energy is an energy that does go through cycles. There's cycles of creativity and intuitive connection, and then there are cycles of just feeling like everything is out of your control when it comes to moods and sensitivities to the world around you and to your own vessel. So tuning into that feminine energy is about finding the balance in the creative energy, the nurturing energy, and the intuitive abilities of feminine energy. But with it comes that awareness of oversensitivity and at times overstimulation, or just I just want to say oversensitivity more than anything. I hope I'm not rambling. Let's talk about this middle card and then we'll move forward. So I feel this card is completely intentional, group 2. This card had a beautiful message. I'm just going to read it again to remind myself more than anything. Don't drink all of life from one flower, for there are many to taste and many to explore. Now, this is an interesting message because I feel that Spirit is wanting to say, look, life is out there and experiences are out there, and there's a lot of opportunity waiting for you to claim it. But that doesn't mean you have to rush ahead and do everything right now. You are allowed to take your time. You are allowed to, just go, I'm not ready yet. And for a lot of you, this is about just accepting the pace of your own journey and feeling comforted in the fact that all timing is the right timing, right? You technically can't miss out on anything in life. And as long as you are aware of what is out there, if you choose to go, look, I'm just not ready to take that leap yet, or I'm just not ready to start fresh yet, or I'm still feeling a little bit of defeat from my previous experience, and I just need some more time before I feel confident to seize that opportunity, then that is fine. Technically speaking, there are many different timelines available to you, my viewer, and you don't have to claim the fastest one. I always talk about, your best possible outcome. And the truth is, this energy in this reading feels very patient and kind. It doesn't want to rush ahead and get there as quick as possible. It feels like a very Venusian energy of enjoying the experiences of life and setting a pace that suits you based on your emotional needs, your physical needs, your cognitive needs in terms of your thoughts and where your fears lie and how that connects to your heart, and then also your spiritual needs. There is a strong feeling here of just setting your own pace. And Spirit saying, as long as you are curious and you continue to educate yourself about what is out there and what opportunities are out there for you in every way, in terms of boosting your income, in terms of looking after your health, in terms of seeking more fulfillment and happiness, and in terms of measuring your success and, strengthening your relationships or building relationships, as long as you're continually curious and somewhat receptive, you're not letting yourself down. You don't have to make it a race. You don't have to get there as quickly as possible. You're more than welcome to just enjoy a slower pace and enjoy what Spirit is saying is almost like a softer life, where you're nurturing yourself, you're nurturing your experiences, and you're just feeling your way through. So for that reason, I feel the closing message in this part of your reading is to just really stay comfortably within your own lane. Don't push yourself towards unhelpful comparison, in that, your journey is unique for a reason, and the pace that other people set is not always what's best for you. So let's go ahead and see now how you see yourself. How does my group 2 viewers see themselves, Spirit? Okay, we're going to get an astrology card first. This is the Arcana of Astrology Oracle deck. How does group 2 see themselves? Okay, we have the 3rd house coming out for you, and we also have Aquarius. And then at the back of this deck is Venus reversed. Wow. I'm actually going to keep that. We're going to pull more cards. But that is interesting to me. So what deck should we use? We're going to use this deck. This is the Dreamers Tarot deck. It is a... it's actually an art piece, to be honest with you. The person that created this deck is a photographer, and they spent 10 years traveling around the world taking these photos. So I don't use this deck often because I just don't want to ruin it, and I don't have information of who the creator is, but this is the deck. So, staying tuned into my group 2's energy, Spirit. How does group 2 see themselves? Whoa, that was quick. How does group 2 see themselves? We have the Fool card reversed. We're going to put the Fool there. How does group 2 see themselves, Spirit? Okay, and we also have the Bringer of Air. Interesting. Didn't get that card very often in the past. How's that looking? And then the back of the deck is the 2 of Water. So honestly, you are someone who is destined to have a very close relationship, like a friendship with yourself. You're someone who should, at many points in your life, feel completely at peace with your own company. And I think that you are someone who seeks similar yet different in a compatible way connections. When it comes to how you see yourself, you do think quite highly of yourself. You don't think you're perfect, especially with the Fool card reversed, but you do believe with these 2 bottom deck energies that you are a good person when it counts, and that despite mistakes being made, you have a lot of qualities that makes you both a valuable person in other people's lives, especially in love and in friendship. You think you're a very good partner, but you also think that at times you're self-sacrificing. And I think that at times with the Venus card reversed, you see yourself as someone that compromises their own needs for the people that you love. And when you really love someone, it's like you give so much of yourself to them with Venus reversed. Now, this is a very different message to the other groups. So especially like at this point, I've only filmed one other group, but if this doesn't resonate, go and see if you feel drawn to a different group. But the strong message that I'm getting is that, yes, you have a close relationship to yourself, but you're also someone who feels like a lover, a giver, a nurturer. And you may have many relationships, not just romantic, but platonic, that are a little bit like fixer-uppers, where you nurture that person and you really give a lot to them, building their self-esteem and working on the way that they see themselves at the expense of your own, self-esteem or your own needs with Venus. Now, the other message that I'm getting, and this isn't going to make sense for all of you, but what I feel is that with the Venus card reversed, a lot of you may be put into situations where you're really challenged in terms of your values, your needs, your self-worth is really challenged. And it may be a little bit of like a karmic thing in this lifetime where you're constantly put into situations that require you to stand up for yourself, require you to stick to your values, and that really challenge the way you see success and fulfillment. It's giving this energy of, I have everything that I want, so why am I not happy? And you getting exactly what you ask for. and then realizing that it's not really fulfilling. So it kind of gives me this energy of like empty success and, you know, being very materialistically successful at some point in your life. And then having to realize, oh my gosh, in the pursuit of my tangible success, I've neglected my emotional needs. And therefore, you know, it feels very lonely at the top. And then the opposite may happen for you as well with this energy here. It may feel like you have, you know, a very on paper and in public fulfilling relationship, family life, or, you know, a strong sense of social connections and friend groups. But there's this emptiness of it takes so much to maintain that relationship with others that once again you've neglected that relationship with self. And we do see that in these cards. I think you see yourself as a fairly easygoing person, a very friendly person. These two cards indicate that you're someone who can get along with a lot of different people. In fact, you gravitate towards people that come from unique backgrounds. You're able to draw out common interests in people, and you consider yourself selectively extroverted. I don't think you're all extroverted, but I think some people might see you as being extroverted. I think that you're just selective with this Aquarius and third house energy. You know when to be bubbly, and you appreciate being able to just observe and be reserved and more introverted. You do have a very inquisitive mind, and you see yourself as someone who is always seeking information. I think you thrive on conversating with people and learning through their experiences. You're probably someone that likes to have deep and meaningful conversations with this Aquarius energy. But I think with the third house, you're also pretty good at breaking the ice. You're someone who, it may not be comfortable for you, but I do think that you're pretty good at making small talk and just sort of reading people when you're getting to know them. I think that you're someone that thrives in smaller groups, but I also think that you're someone who's been a part of larger social circles as well. And I think you see yourself as someone that's actually a little bit of a loner. So even though a lot of people either know of you or interact with you regularly, I feel like you're actually a bit of a loner and you prefer your own company. You prefer to be able to kind of do things on your own terms, and you prefer a level of independence, freedom, and autonomy. So you see yourself as someone who has quite a unique way of doing things. I feel you thrive in situations where you're able to just kind of be left to your own devices with a specific set of instructions. So that would apply specifically to like the workplace, or if you ever have to study. I think you're pretty good at managing your own devices. But I do think that there's a part of your personality that actually thrives off of social interaction and listening to people. I think that you really enjoy hearing about people's stories and connecting. With the third house here, maybe you see yourself as someone that has a very close group of friends, or you're very close to your siblings, because this card talks about your sort of a community of people that, you know, may not live in your home, but you interact with them regularly, you know, multiple times a week. And it feels like these relationships are a big part of how you see yourself. Maybe they form a big part of your sentimental values and a big part of your identity, and being able to have that community is what helps you feel like yourself. Now, I'm keep getting the word friendly, so I think that you believe you're someone that, you know, you maybe have a resting, am I allowed to say that word on YouTube? A resting bitch face. But I feel like you're actually, you know, once you talk, you're quite friendly. But maybe there is a rougher exterior with Aquarius that looks a little bit different to what people expect before they get to know you. I do think that there is a part of you that has some sort of black sheep energy where you see yourself as someone that doesn't quite fit in. You make yourself fit in. You kind of make people see you as someone similar to them, but I think that you actually feel like a bit of a black sheep with this Aquarius energy, like someone who's almost like from a different world, or it could be in reference to you feeling like you live in a community where you're a minority, or you have differences. It could be a language difference, it could be an ethnic background that makes you feel different. It could be interests in general. Maybe you're curious about things that people in your community don't seem to be as interested in. But it definitely makes you feel at times like an alien, or like a black sheep in a flock of white sheep, you know, just as though you contrast to your environment at times. Now, coming back to the tarot with the Fool card reversed, there's actually a message behind this card too. But this is a card that talks about you at times feeling, actually constantly, this isn't at times, Spirit's correcting me, you constantly feel prone towards making mistakes. You may even think that you're a physically clumsy person, but you constantly overanalyze and have, I'm hearing, a healthy amount of self-doubt before you jump into things. So you're not someone who's comfortable with just sort of jumping into things. And other people may see you as impulsive for this card to come out. But I believe that you see yourself as someone who takes calculated risks, as someone who likes to get information, research, and then jump. So I do think that it takes time for you. I don't think that you are someone who's, impulsive, but I think that could be one of the misconceptions, which is a topic we're covering in your extended reading. We're going to have a look at what are the common misconceptions about you. But I think you see yourself as someone that takes calculated risks. At the back of this card, we have some words created by the creator of this deck, and it really feeds into that Aquarius energy. Freedom, creativity, liberation, purity, innocence. As a symbol of newborn innocence, the Fool card is not only starting the journey through the major arcana cards, it also forms a circle in connection to the pregnant woman in the final card, which is the World. So you may see yourself as someone who has those attributes. You enjoy freedom, you have a creative spirit, you enjoy feeling that liberation of a new experience and tying up an old experience. You have an element of you that feels pure, which could indicate a strong connection to your inner child. You have a gravitational pull towards innocence, and you may be set on reclaiming your innocence as well. No matter how educated you get, there may be parts of you that really gravitates towards symbols of your inner child and your innocence. And I do think that this card just indicates that you are someone who puts a lot of thought into those big decisions, into those endings and those new beginnings. You're not impulsive at all. So, but I do think that you enjoy the thrill of a new experience. You kind of seek out new beginnings. So you could be seen as someone that's had many lives, or you will go on to have many lives, but you also see yourself as someone that maybe pushes themselves to overcome fear so that you're not standing in your own way. And it looks like you have this radical life where you're doing all these exciting things, but really like a lot of thought and a lot of internal work goes into preparing for those new beginnings. And with the bringer of air here, the back of this card says, clear your mind, new informations, new ideas, curiosity, being open for the new. So this makes me think of the Page of Air, the Page of Swords. And again, there's more air energy here. So strong air energy. Gemini and Aquarius are the strongest, but we do have a little bit of Libra naturally with any of the court cards. Mostly Gemini and Aquarius though, and some Taurus. Actually, Venus is Libra as well, so Libra is here. Now, I do feel like you see yourself as someone who has a side that is, again, curious and open to new experiences. Maybe you accept your naivety and you accept yourself as someone who, although you may enjoy education and you may gravitate towards opportunities to learn and download new information, you also seem to see yourself as a student, as someone who's always learning, almost like a trainee, an apprenticeship who's trying to gain practical information as well as theoretical knowledge. So practical experience and theoretical experience. I just want to read the back of this card too. Balance your emotions. You are not alone. You're on the right path. So there's a strong feeling of you overall seeing yourself as someone who's very balanced. You enjoy harmony. You enjoy emotional harmony. You enjoy friendships that are balanced as well, that are considerate, that are respectful. You enjoy partnerships that have a strong friendship built into them. And you enjoy experiences that have an emotional meaning to them as well. They're not just sort of surface level thrills. There's an opportunity to really connect with that experience from the heart. So it's even coming through as like your holiday experiences. You know, maybe there is a thrill seeker element where you're trying to get out of your head and challenge yourself to get out of your own way. But I think you're more inclined to take experiences that have a cultural aspect or a more meaningful aspect where you can get to know the local people, or you can really get to have some more quieter moments connecting with yourself or the place that you're in as well. So that's what's coming through in terms of how you see yourself. Let's have a look at how people are seeing your beauty now. You're coming through as a bit of an Aquarius, so I'm curious to see what other people think of you. Okay, Spirit. How do people perceive Group 2's beauty? How are those around Group 2 seeing their beauty? How are those around Group 2 seeing their beauty? Okay. We have the first quarter moon. Oops, my bad. Okay, we're going to take Saturn as well. Saturn reversed. I'm doing yours a bit different to Group 1, so we'll just roll with it. You've got a bit more cards, that's all. The back of the deck is Palais Athena or Palace Athena. I don't know why I say that way. I'm pretty sure it's just Palace Athena. Okay, and from Tarot, how are those around Group 2 seeing their beauty? Okay, we have the Seven of Pentacles. How are those around Group 2? We also have the Death card. Well, that's highlighting how high that card is. And then at the back of the deck is Judgment. So strong Pluto themes here. I'm hearing Plutonic, not Pluto, Plutonic. Interesting. So we did have some Scorpio with the Two of Cups, or an 8th house dominance in your chart. You may have a lot of planets in your 8th house, or your sun sign or your rising sign could be in, well, your rising sign can't be in your 8th house, can it? But your sun sign might be in your 8th house, and there could just be an interesting dynamic going on there with some of your dominant energies in your natal chart. But obviously we have more Aquarius with Saturn. We also have Capricorn. Palais Athena to me is like Taurus, because it has a Venus connection, but it also feels Cancer-like to me just because of those softer feminine energies. So Taurus, Cancer, Libra as well. First quarter moon feels like Aries, although that moon connection is more Cancer energy. Cardinal energy is strong with the first quarter moon. Judgment is connected to both Uranus and Pluto, so we have Scorpio and Aquarius here. Scorpio with Death card, and more Virgo and Capricorn with the Seven of Pentacles. So with that out of the way, the numbers that we have is the number 13, the number 7, and the number 20, which could be of significance. Now, group 2, overall, people see you as quite a transformative person. There is an immediate awareness, like it doesn't take long for people to look at you and know, damn, that is a strong person. And you're coming through not necessarily as a physically strong person, but I think that the people around you see you as someone who's internally strong, like you've been through things. And there's something in your eyes, the way that you carry yourself, your energy, the presence that you have in any room you occupy, that indicates that there are two sides to you. There's this dual side of kind of who you present, which is someone who's very present but absent at the same time. Like you have a way of, when people interact with you, they feel very seen, they feel very heard, and they feel incredibly grateful to interact with you. But what I'm seeing is that a lot of people almost feel like they're not getting the full scope of you. With all of this Plutonic energy, they feel like you live two lives. And even those that are close to you feel like there's a lot going on. You always have a big goal that you're trying to achieve, or you always have new beginnings that you're pursuing, or you always have the openness to redirect your time, your money, and your energy. You're never stuck. And you may feel very different about that, but that's how you're being perceived by people that actually know you. People that know you see you as someone who's had endings and new beginnings. You're transformative. You're open towards criticism that is constructive, and you're always evolving. You're always adapting, and you're always sort of transmuting. It's almost like people are, I want to say that there is some envy and jealousy, but there's also an awe. Like people are in awe of you and your ability to go through so much and still come out in such a beautiful way. And so I think that your appearance to strangers comes across as someone that is selectively beautiful. I think that strangers, depending on when they catch you and what you're looking like, they know that there's a side of you that doesn't really care, or that you just sort of, you're there for yourself. You're not there for them. And, Pallas Athena does have a connection to beauty. It has a connection to the external, and it has a connection to others through the importance that we put on close connections and the way that we feel about ourselves. And I will read more from the guidebook because I feel I'm butchering that interpretation a little bit. But intuitively, what I'm feeling is that a lot of people think that you just don't care. They think that for the most part, when you get dressed in the morning, when you show up to something, aside from it being a professional context in which there may be a dress code, you're really just putting your own spin on your avatar, and you're wearing whatever you want. You're looking however you want. And I think that there is something radical about your appearance for judgment to be here that is a little bit different, as though maybe you do play around with the way that you look, or you have some extreme aspects of your appearance. Maybe you have certain piercings that other people don't have, or you have certain tattoos in places that people, or it's just not as acceptable for people to have tattoos in your environment. Or maybe, you experiment with your hair or your clothes, but it feels a little different, and it's different enough for people to look twice. I think that a lot of people end up staring at someone like you, and I think that a lot of people end up trying to kind of figure you out and trying to almost put you in a box. But what's coming through is that you don't fit in boxes. And people see more than just your physical appearance when they look at you. Strangers and people that know you, they look deeper. They see something bigger. And your presence holds more space than just your physical appearance. So I do think with the Saturn card reversed, maybe people notice that there are things about your appearance that appear quite rushed. This makes me think of someone who is so busy, they're so goal motivated or objectively focused that they forget to wipe the toothpaste off their shirt when they leave the house, stuff like that. But with the Saturn card being reversed, there is this energy of people looking at you and going, I know they've put in effort, but it's giving the illusion that they just don't care about the rules. This is someone who, when it comes to the way they dress, the way they, leave their house and enter the public space, they don't care about the rules. They don't follow the conventional rules. And for that reason, maybe the way that you dress isn't really trendy. Maybe it's more comfort-based at times, or maybe it's just about dressing in a way that feels right for you, that feels confident for you. Now, Saturn reverse can also talk about you wearing older items of clothing and having an appearance that is reminiscent of a different era. So maybe you enjoy wearing clothing that is more like the kinds of clothes they wore in a different time. And there's aspects of your appearance that seems to be reminiscent of a different time. So when people look at you, they go, wow, like that person looks like they came straight out of the 70s, or there's something about that person's clothing that just reminds me of, the 80s or something like that as well. There is a quirkiness here to your appearance, but honestly, I keep getting messages more so about your energy, and you have a very strong energy that at times can be quite dominant. I don't want to say intimidating, but it can feel commanding. Your presence can really take up a space. And I think that a lot of people gravitate towards you and kind of see you as someone that can lead in situations. And I also think that some people assume that you're a quite confident person, or that because of the way that you carry yourself, there's an aspect of you that's more comfortable than they are. And so I think people project idealistic sort of traits onto you based off of how you look, what you're wearing, and the way that you carry yourself. Overall, with the Seven of Pentacles reversed, I believe people see your beauty as something that feels out of place in a way, because it doesn't match what everybody else is doing. You do things differently. You go against the grain and you challenge kind of expectations in a way. And I think that you're very careful about how you do it. Like if there is a dress code, I think you follow the dress code, but you put your own spin on it. And there may be times where you're not really thinking, you just put on whatever you have, whatever's clean, but it still seems to be something that feels different. Like people look at you and go, oh wow, that's not what I was expecting, in a way. Now it's not very radical, because at times I do feel like you're a comfort creature with these two cards reversed. This indicates that when life gets busy, when you do feel the weight of your responsibilities stacking up against you, you're not thinking about impressing anyone. You just want to be comfortable, and you want to be, you just want to not fit in, but you don't want to get in trouble for what you're wearing as well. So I believe that you just have casual clothes that you throw on, and there's a side of you that is a creature of comfort as well. You're not trying to be out here performing for people on the regular. Is there anything else you can tell them about that, Spirit? Yeah, this. I just want to highlight that this message was very different to group one. So you're getting comfort creature more than anything as your dual side of how you dress. But right now, I feel people are perceiving your beauty as someone who, even when you're wearing baggy clothes, old t-shirts, comfy shorts, exercise clothes, like you still have a foundation to your appearance in terms of your physical looks that is very unique to you because of this energy that I'm seeing here with Pluto and the Aquarius card. Now, often people that have strong Pluto placements also have piercing eyes. That doesn't mean that they're, light eyes. It just means that on your face, your eyes stand out, and people do gravitate towards your eyes when they're talking to you. They want to connect with your eyes. They want to look into your eyes. And that's where I'm feeling that people see you as someone that's quite deep and that you have this intriguing, mysterious aura when they do get to engage with you. I feel like your eyes stand out, especially if they are darker. You may have dark blue eyes, you may have dark hazel eyes, dark green eyes, dark brown eyes. But there is an aspect of intrigue and mystery around your eyes, and being able to look into your eyes seems to generate more questions than answers. Outside of that, you feel like a different person as soon as you open your mouth. It's almost like people, see you, and then once they hear you speak, they're shocked. There's an immediate feeling of like a shock factor to the way that you speak or the way that you communicate. And maybe it's the words you use, maybe it's the way that you articulate, or the language, the vocabulary you use, maybe it's your accent. There's something about as soon as you speak, people are like, oh wow, like I wasn't expecting that. Now with first quarter moon, I'm just gonna get the guidebook out, ready to talk more about Pallas Athena. But with first quarter moon reversed, this does make me feel like people misinterpret you, because there is a first impressions energy here. And usually this card indicates a situation that is gaining momentum, intention, and it's about sticking to plans or ideas you've set for yourself. When this card is reversed, it makes me think that for a lot of you, the way that people see you versus the impression that you give once they interact with you is very different. I think that people see your beauty as something that is actually either very different, it's contrasting, or like you are very different. And the first impression versus being able to spend time and get to know you is very different. And people might say that to you too. They could say, wow, I thought you were going to be very different. I saw this person with all these piercings and tattoos, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's a scary person. And then I spoke to you and I realized, wow, they're actually really lovely. So it could be something like that, just to use that as an example. Let's have a look at Pallas Athena now. I believe it's over here. Yeah, the warrior. Not to be underestimated. Now this card is reversed, so keep that in mind. We have keywords: intelligence, creativity, wisdom, liberation, diplomacy, zealous, overly critical. Now feel free to read all of this if that's what you're into. I'm not going to read it all. I'm just going to read keywords. Now, we want to talk about symbols here too. So craftsman's tools, spears, shields, paint brushes, and gold. So Pallas Athena sprung forth in full armor from Jupiter's head instead of being born in the more traditional sense. My bad. I thought she had a connection to Venus. She has a connection to Jupiter. Sorry to interrupt. Who has a connection to Venus? Juno was forced to marry Jupiter. Sorry. It's Ceres, the mother. Goodness, lucky I checked. Does she have a relationship with Venus though? Springing from Jupiter's head. Is there? Oh, here, that's why. It's the femininity and her being a goddess that made me mislabel her, but she's a warrior. At least according to the legend. Pallas showed society that intelligence was also a feminine quality, in a world that valued only masculine stereotypes. Wow. So maybe you are here to remove stereotypes and really challenge the way people perceive people and the way people jump to conclusions about people. So in astrology, sorry, my group twos were interrupted by my alarm. But as I was saying, in astrology, this brave asteroid represents our tactical nature, political involvement, feminism, and war. She does not rush to bloodshed. Instead, she plans, she mediates, and she does everything she can before resorting to violence. So maybe people assume you're more extreme in nature than you actually are. I'm not doubting that you may have these qualities within you, but I think that when people see you, they jump to conclusions and they may assume that you're more radical, extreme, and, more full on than what you actually are, which is indicated with Judgment and the Death card. Those are quite intense energies as a first impression, or as how people are seeing your beauty. Is there anything else they need to know about how the people around them are perceiving them? I just want to highlight that for this group, the people around you are really captivated. Like, you have the attention. And there's something about your appearance, which we're going to talk about next, that you can use to your advantage. The way that people project can actually be something that, through your conscious awareness, you use in the careers you have, in the connections you build, in the experiences you have. Don't shy away from it. Don't ostracize yourself. And I don't know if you're at that point in your journey. Maybe I'm just referring to a more naive version of yourself. But if you are doubting, who you are, and if you are feeling a little overwhelmed by other people's opinions of you, see it as something that can be used to your advantage. And it's interesting because I feel like people feel guilty for judging you, and it's not your fault. Like, the people around you who jump to conclusions and who project things onto you, once they realize the type of person you actually are, they immediately feel guilty and bad, with Saturn reversed, for putting that over you and making you feel some type of way based off of the way that you look. So let's have a look now at how you can use this information to your advantage. What deck should I use? I'm going to use the Work Your Light Oracle deck because I haven't used it for you yet. But I actually need another deck as well. Spirit, how can Group 2 use this information to their advantage? Thank you. Okay, so we have the Age of Light coming out, which says you've been training for this for lifetimes. Yeah, take it in your stride. Use what you know about yourself and what you know about the world to call in your soul family. You don't have to go through life alone. There are people like you, even though you are very unique, and that's what makes you attractive and beautiful and special. There are people who resonate with your story, with your interests, with your values, with your experiences, and those are people who are going to feel like your tribe. So you can use this information to feel confident in who you are and to feel assured that there are people who will be able to connect with you and truly understand you and respect you and take the time to get to know you as well. There's a kindred feeling to who you are. I think you are someone who will end up in a relationship with a soulmate, someone who feels like a soul member of your tribe. And I use soulmate to describe the sense of connection. I don't use it as the typical label. Like, I'm not trying to romanticize, over-romanticize things and feed into any of the delusional sides of things, if that makes sense. Like, I know soul terms in terms of like soulmates and twin flames gets a lot of attention for the wrong reasons as well. But I just want to say that you feel like you have a life partner, and you're the type of person who creates very meaningful connections with people, where people feel incredibly seen and heard by you. And that's something that you can feel comforted in, but also use to your advantage, so that when you're not feeling respected, heard, and seen, you know that that person isn't meant to be in your life for a long time, right? You can acknowledge that, wow, okay, so this was a lesson. This wasn't a lifetime experience. This was just a learning curve. I'm going to let this person go with love, and I'm going to protect my peace and stay available to my soul family. Now, with the Age of Light, this information in this reading is about empowering what you already know about yourself. It is about you feeling confident in who you are and truly tapping into your own journey, being aware of the fact that you are different in the right way, and you've been brought into this timeline for the reason of being able to create something for yourself. And it may be at a different pace or a different path to others. It may involve you at times being unfairly stereotyped and even receiving criticism for things that you're not. But ultimately, you are here to create dynamic opinions and to really challenge the way that people see the world. And I think you end up kind of pushing people to challenge this sort of prejudice within themselves, so that they don't rush to conclusions about the way that people should look and how people should sound. And it's very interesting, because I think that your impact is much more profound, and you may notice it more when you're younger, because you're gaining awareness of the world too. So you start to learn about how people judge people, and you start to observe how people are, projecting things. But I think that as time goes on, you really just learn to take it in your stride, and you continue to be a very influential person that challenges society's expectations of us. But I think you just kind of forget that. It just becomes normal for you. So let's get some tarot out as well. Spirit, how can group 2 use the information in this reading to their advantage? You have thick skin, and I know life hasn't always been easy for you, but you had to kind of go through those experiences to create someone who is incredibly capable of doing things that other people can't even dream of, if that makes sense. And your life may feel radical at times. You may get to witness a lot of change in your lifetime, but there are also times where you're allowed to just take the back seat. You don't have to be an outspoken person. You don't have to do the most. You don't have to be in charge of a revolution. You can just be you. And that's really what this message is about. There is a radical side to your energy, but I think that it is more centered around the relationship that you have with yourself, which secondarily impacts a lot of people. Because as you try to strengthen that connection to self and come back to who you know you are, you end up showing people who you truly are, and they get to see, wow, this is very different to what we're used to. We're not used to people being that confident in their quirks or that open towards differences. Now, in this reading, I kind of talked about, other people's perceptions, how you see yourself, and messages to boost your self-esteem. But the role that this reading plays in your life is collaborative. This is here to enrich your curious mind and to help you see other perspectives, but it is supposed to inspire you to continue learning about yourself and fostering that strong relationship with self. It is also supposed to help you understand that the world around you may not be seeing you the way that you see yourself, but that just means that you can use that information to determine, well, how much of myself am I comfortable with putting myself out there? What conversations should I be having? And what boundaries can I have to protect my peace as well? So with the Lovers card reversed, this is a reading that is supposed to supplement what you already know about yourself and the interactions you have with other people. And it is also supposed to help you do additional research about the things that you can do to better yourself, if that makes sense. And I think this is relative towards opportunities that are lining up for you, conversations that you're going to be having with other people, being able to frame your communication appropriately so that you're being heard and seen in the right way, especially in professional contexts or where you're talking to people who are from different backgrounds and they don't get to see many people like you, sort of coming in with that more charming side that we saw is really going to help bridge that uncomfortableness or that awkwardness in the beginning. And it's kind of being shown to me as you walking into a bank and meeting the manager and trying to, present your case for a home loan or something like that. And you may feel like, you're being judged just from your appearance. Don't get in your head. Use what you know about yourself and this reading to bridge that understanding, because really once you open your mouth, people are going, oh my gosh, I feel so bad for judging you. Like, I'm actually really impressed by the type of person that you are. And you win a lot of people over with your words, with your knowledgeable mind and your curious mind. Your communication really speaks from the heart, and that is a valuable trait to have because it helps people see you for who you are. So choosing to stand in confidence and communicate authentically from the heart, using your education and your curious mind to, equip your vocabulary is really what is going to help you in those rooms where you feel like you just don't fit in, where, oh my gosh, these people are so much older than me, or they're all from the same demographic and I just feel so different, I don't belong here. Taking time to research and to know your audience is going to help you connect. You're incredibly skillful when it comes to your mind and the way that you communicate. So with the Three of Pentacles here, collaboration is the way that you use this information. It's a helpful reading that you can take in your stride. It's a tool that you can use to bridge gaps of understanding with people who you feel are struggling to connect with you or don't understand you. And it's also a tool that you can use to clock, do I want to share energy with that person? Well, no, actually, I'm exhausted. I'm sick of having to explain myself. I just want to buy groceries and get out of here. So use this reading to know more about your environment, to understand how the world around you is seeing you so that you can determine who to exchange energy with, who to collaborate with, who to spend time with, and how you should be investing your time, your resources. So that is what I'm seeing for you, group 2. I hope that was a helpful reading. We're going to go into your extended reading now, where we are still on the same message. We're still looking at how people are seeing your beauty, but we're going to cover these 4 topics. We're going to be asking how your love interests see you. So this is basically, how do the people who you're attracted to see you? We're also going to have a look at what are the common misconceptions about you. Is your self-identity, the way you see yourself, limiting your expansion or experiences? And we're going to close the extended reading by getting more self-esteem boosters, really quick messages to boost your self-esteem. If that sounds helpful, the link to your extended reading is in the description box and the pinned comment. It does take you to my website, so please make sure you select the right reading before you check out. Remember your group 2 of the How Are People Seeing Your Beauty reading. Thank you, group 2, for all of your time, your energy, and your support. I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy on your journey ahead. Until we meet again, bye. welcome to your reading. If you recognize the image at the start of this reading, then you're in the right place. We're asking Spirit, how are people seeing your beauty? This is a self-esteem boosting reading, so although I'm a very honest reader, I am going to be centering the topic around making you feel better about yourself by highlighting things that are unique to you and the positive things that people notice about you. Now, it wouldn't be an honest reading without getting some ideas of how certain things aren't easy for you, in terms of maybe you find people misunderstand you or that people judge you based on your appearance. So in the extended reading, we're covering more of the misconceptions, and then I'm going to end that reading by boosting you up. Here's the information for YouTube and the extended. It is also listed in the description box and the pinned comment. I'm going to open your reading by tuning into your energy, setting my intentions with Spirit, so I highly recommend you do the same. Consider asking for a sign of confirmation, which could be an object, animal, color, number, anything. That sign of confirmation can help confirm that this reading is for you. And if anything isn't resonating, don't stick around. Either find a different group or look for your truth elsewhere, but don't force messages to fit. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and tune in and prepare myself for your energy. Spirit, please tune me into Group 3's energy. Please help me offer Group 3 the most clear, honest messages about their reading. Thank you, Spirit. Okay, Group 3, the only other housekeeping I need to address is that this reading was inspired by Taurus and Venus, so I highly recommend that you know what your Venus sign is, as that can enrich your reading, and it may also be helpful for you to consider if you have Taurus placements and what your Taurus placements may be, just because that can help understand the messages as well and just add an extra layer of enrichment. So let's go ahead and shuffle out the first cards for you. We're going to start by getting some quick messages to boost your self-esteem, starting with the affirmation cards by Dreamy Moons. Spirit, thank you. I am mindful at all times and live only within each moment I have. From the Beltane Oracle deck. Spirit, what messages may boost Group 3's self-esteem? Group 3, please, Spirit. Okay, we have Stone Circle. Number 39 could be significant. In ceremony, you conjure a devotion so deeply it reflects thy worship into yourself. And this is the card at the back of the deck, Goddess. Number 14 could also be significant. Make sure to feel it in your bones, for you are what you believe. And the last oracle card I'm going to pull is from the Dream Cards Oracle deck. What messages can boost Group 3's self-esteem from this deck? Thank you, Spirit. From the Dream Cards deck, we're having a look at this teal kind of card. I don't know how it looks on camera. You're welcome to comment down below what color you think this is. I think it's like a teal, something between like a green and a blue. It looks a little bit more blue over here and more kind of green over there. But it says, if you live like you've always lived, you'll get the same as you've always had. You must decide to make a change towards your dreams. Decide on what you need to change, and you will be rewarded with a new sense of achievement. Just going to wipe my nose really quickly, excuse me. Always happens when I'm channeling. I feel like it gets worse by the time I get to Group 3, so I'm so sorry. You guys don't always get the best of me, but I take a lot of breaks. It just happens sometimes. Now, I do have some messages coming through for you, like I did for the other two groups. For you, I'm seeing a color yellow, especially like honey, Now this deck was used for every group, so bees came through in every group, but I'm specifically seeing like a honey yellow, a honey gold is what it looks like. The numbers that are standing out is actually 1 and 4 more than anything, that goddess card. But you do have 39 over here, so we'll see what happens. Okay, interesting. It just happened to be green, red, and yellow colors. Interesting. Okay, so to boost your self-esteem, group 3, Spirit is really praising your ability to find moments of connection, appreciation, and gratitude, especially if you have had to be very careful about focusing on the little things and getting upset over things you can't control. Spirit is very much praising your ability to switch your focus and to acknowledge that, there are a lot of things that are out of your control, and at times it's hard to just focus on what you have and to focus on the moment, especially if you've been actively working hard and you don't feel like you're getting the reward that you deserve, and especially if it's been a long journey of having to constantly be mindful. It's definitely coming through as one of the first messages Spirit is praising you for. Spirit is also praising your ability to recognize your own needs, especially during demanding times. It's important that you prioritize yourself and that you are careful about who you devote yourself to. And I think that, you may be going through something right now with the stone circle where you are trying to balance your own needs amongst the other goals, the other responsibilities, and the other expectations of you from other people as well as from yourself. So this stone circle is encouraging your self-worth practices, your self-devotion practices, the things you do to make yourself feel important. And it feels like you have something about you that kind of comes through as like a strong work ethic, or as someone who knows how to work hard. But it is okay to take time off as well and to balance that work ethic out with, leisure and pleasure experiences as well, and to not just be so hard on yourself with no return. I also feel like you've had some close loved ones maybe betray you or just let you down recently. They might have let you down by saying something that you didn't agree with, or that really went against your beliefs or your, strong foundation of self. Or they could have done something that kind of went against, like a broken promise, or just not fulfilled something that they said they were going to do. And that's something that Spirit is acknowledging, and there is praise there for your ability to recognize how that has upset you. I think it is important, especially with loved ones, that you continue to review those relationships, because there are some loved ones who seem to take advantage of aspects of your lifestyle where you get busy, you get distracted, and they aren't necessarily acknowledging how much you've got on your plate, group 3. So there is acknowledgement here of how you're sometimes the bigger person, not because you want to be, but because you have to be. And that's coming through in family type connections. Even if you experience this in the workplace, I feel like those people blur the lines a little bit and maybe think of you or treat you as more of a family member instead of an employee. So that's a message that's coming through. With that being said, over here, I do feel like Spirit is praising your ability to stay open-minded, and there may be certain little signs or synchronicities encouraging you to consider changing aspects of your life, making some changes to your future, and considering a different way of living in the near future. And I do think that Spirit is confirming that this choice is in your hands. You shouldn't feel like it's your only option, but it is certainly happening because you aren't receiving what you deserve, and there is a bigger plan for you. And that bigger plan involves wonderful changes to your lifestyle, a more balanced way of living that includes a healthier relationship with money and just a more careful management of stress. You feel like a group that might be under a lot of stress, or you experience micro tensions where, you know, things just get really chaotic really quickly, and then you may be able to resolve it, but it happens again, and it happens quite regularly. And it feels like things that make these micro sort of moments of stress occur come down to other people's incompetencies at times, and the fact that people have high expectations of you, and the fact that you find yourself in situations where, you know, you're having to pull the dead weight of others because other people aren't showing up to the table. So this dynamic between you doing more than what you're getting recognized for and having to overcompensate for other people's lack of compensation seems to be highlighted. And not only are you being acknowledged by Spirit for doing this, but you're also being praised for your ability to handle this, because it's not healthy. I don't think this is beneficial to you, and I think that long term this is actually quite energetically draining, and that you may have already experienced physical side effects to this kind of stress and a physical toll to this kind of stress. So I know we're supposed to boost your self-esteem, but Spirit's trying to highlight that you need to start validating what you're going through. And I think that the main part of this message was to validate the amount of pressure you're under, the amount of grace that you have, and to validate that if you do feel upset, frustrated, overwhelmed, and stressed, these are very normal, healthy feelings to have given the circumstances that you're going through. So I hope that that's been validating and helpful. Let's move forward, group 3. I want to have a look now at how you're seeing yourself. Okay. Spirit, how is group 3 seeing themselves? We'll start with the Arcana of Astrology deck. How is group 3 seeing themselves? Okay, we have the 10th house, and then we also have Capricorn at the back of the deck. Wow, goodness. Yeah, let's get this deck. This is the Dreamer's Tarot, and it's actually more of an artwork than a tarot deck, but it's a pretty insightful tarot deck. I don't use it a lot because I don't want to ruin it by using it too much, but I forget the creator of the deck. It's been a few years now since we've connected, but this is what it looks like. And she basically spent 10 years photographing 82 images from 12 different countries, 4 different continents. Like, it's quite an extensive art piece. And yeah, it took her a while to feel confident and comfortable to release this to the rest of the world. So you may resonate with some of the imagery. You may feel pulled towards some of the symbols and images. Spirit, how does group 3 see themselves? Okay, we have the 8 of Water reversed, and this is what it says at the back of this card. Pause it if you want to read it all. How does group 3 see themselves? Thank you, Spirit. We also have the Lover's card, and this is what it says at the back of this card. And at the back of the deck is the Ace of Fire reversed, and that's what it says at the back of the Ace of Fire. Interesting. I do feel like you have quite high expectations of yourself. I think that you are an achiever and that you are an ambitious person. I think that your ambitions are centered around long-term goals and a strong sense of values that seem to be modeled around security. The word security, family, maybe traditions, values, success, like these might legacy, making sure that you're carrying on certain traditions could be very important to you, whether they are cultural traditions, social traditions, family traditions, whatever system they operate within. There's an aspect of you with the 10th house that comes across as traditions based, which is a motivation. And in terms of how you see yourself, I do think that you hold yourself to higher standards. You may believe that you resemble an ancestor or an older family member. You may also see yourself as a role model with this 10th house energy. I believe that you see yourself as someone who needs to have high standards because there are high expectations. You may see yourself as someone that's inheriting a legacy, or it's your responsibility to create one. So either you've got to continue on with the legacy you've inherited, or you've actually got to create one for your family, for yourself, and for those that are coming after you. Because of that, you're likely to believe that success is rooted around certain pillars in your life. You may think that you need a successful career or income in order to feel secure in life. You may also see yourself as someone that always needs something to work towards, something to kind of make it worth it. I don't think that you just hustle for hustling, although on some spectrum, maybe some of you do, you enjoy the hustle. But I think that you need that reward as well. And that reward has to be worth the amount of sacrifice that you put in. Certainly a lot of themes here of you having a strong work ethic with the 10th house in Capricorn. I think that you see yourself as a high value person, as someone who's, got a fairly straightforward aspect to them. I think that you see yourself as a little bit uncomplicated in that way. It doesn't take long for people to either figure you out, but I also think that because of that, if people go against your values or, don't respect the things that make you you, I think that it's hard for you not to take that personally, because you believe that what's important to you should be important to a lot of people. And those things are things like family, and a respect for goals and personal achievement. So I think that if you feel like someone's purposefully sabotaging your reputation or trying to come for your family or disrespecting your family, your spouse, or that will only resonate once you're in a long-term relationship. But if somebody disrespects these core aspects of what makes you you, I feel like it's very hard for you not to see it as a personal attack, and it makes you go, what is wrong with you? Like, what kind of, I feel like if people don't have that same values as you or the same beliefs as you to a certain extent, it can be very uncomfortable and hard for you to be around them for a long period of time. I think you gravitate towards people that are equally motivated by long-term goals and that are family orientated and that believe in a certain element of tradition, whether it's about having family traditions or cultural traditions. I think you value environments that foster sentimental and inclusive environments, especially with this 10th house. I think you like to have a clear understanding of what is expected of you, and you like to know where you stand with other people. So if you're in an environment that doesn't do that, and that it feels a little bit chaotic because of that. It's very uncomfortable. So I think that you can get along with a lot of people if you're able to connect with them on a values-based level. But if they do look very different to you, and if they sound different, and if they act different, and if they do things that go against your values, it's very hard for you to feel comfortable in those spaces. Now with Capricorn here, for it to be reversed, you have a very unsatisfied way of talking about yourself. Like, I think that if people asked you to describe yourself, you would list your achievements, you would list the things that are important to you, the people, maybe the animals that are important to you, but you would also list the things that you're working on. You wouldn't just stop at what you've already achieved. You would go on to say, and this is what I'm hoping to do and what I'm wanting to do. So I believe that you see yourself as a constant work in progress, as someone whose personal expectations are so high, and as someone who's constantly resetting the standard for self. And you know, Capricorn talks more about this perfect self-image, in my opinion, in a very unrealistic way. I know that other, like Libra, for example, can sometimes talk about self-image, but I do think that Capricorn's shadow attributes is that they can never truly feel at peace with what they've done. They've always got to top their previous achievement, and they've always got to find a way to continue to be better. And especially with this card reversed, because of that, I think that when you're having hard times, whether it's because your head is just in a dark place, or because you've had to experience setbacks in your journey and you're feeling like, you know, you're further away from your goals than you hoped you'd be, I think that it's quite a toxic place to be in terms of your head. I think that the way that you self-soothe is sometimes unhealthy as well. And I think that, you know, Capricorn reversed is devilish energy. So work hard, play hard. And I don't know if you let everyone see that, but I think that those closest to you have been able to see what you're like when you do need to just play hard in order to keep hustling. So I think you hold yourself to quite a high standard, and I don't think you're ever quite happy with what you've done, but I do think that you are proud. I think that you have genuine moments of recognition and being able to praise yourself. But I also think that there are core people in your life whose opinions of you matter, and these are likely family members, parents or siblings, or someone who's like more of like a parental figure. And if they don't approve, if you don't have their support, their approval, their recognition, then it can still feel like you haven't done enough, no matter what you've done. If you don't have that core person who you respect and love and values support, recognition and praise, then it still feels like you've got further to go. You've got more to do. So let's have a look at the tarot now. With the Ace of Fire at the back of the deck, this card said something about challenges. Prepare for new challenges. Now it is reversed, so I do think that you see yourself as someone who is very capable. I think you see yourself as someone who's quite motivated and that you're good at overcoming challenges. I think you see yourself as someone that is also capable of turning the losses into wins. And I think you would do well in an interview. I feel like I'm kind of getting to know you through an interview almost. So I think that you're very aware of your strengths and weaknesses type of thing. But I do think with the Ace of Fire reverse that this is a case of how, you know, you don't take no for an answer. You see setbacks and no's and rejections as redirection. And I think that this is more than just a physical and energetic strength. This is a mental strength. This is an ability within yourself to acknowledge that that door is closed, while also acknowledging, well, I always have options. So instead of focusing on what didn't go my way, I'm going to start figuring out where to next. And I think that says a lot about the type of person that you are. I think that says a lot about the type of opportunities that you've created for yourself, regardless of what you've inherited or what's been given to you. I think that you have an optimistic side to you that helps combat the self-criticism, and your belief in self is what helps you triumph over any doubt or fear that you may have as well. So the Eight of Water came out first, and it did come out reversed, which firstly tells me that you see yourself as someone that doesn't dwell. You don't like to just sit in sadness. You don't like to just sit in uncomfortable feelings. Whatever happens to you is water off your back. I'm hearing water off a duck's back. So you like to get over things. You like to work through things. And you believe that the low moments you had in your life, the heartbreaks, the losses, the grief, the unfulfilling moments and chapters, they are all leading towards something bigger. And so you see yourself as someone that's actually very emotionally resilient and that's very adaptable. You're not going to settle. You're not going to accept things that feel unfair or unfulfilling or even just straight up sad. You're always going to try to find the light at the end of the tunnel. And you see yourself as someone that always finds their way out of dark, challenging situations. You also see yourself as someone that breaks cycles. And these cycles are emotional. So maybe you come from a background where a certain emotional cycle was quite obvious within your parents or within your ancestors or even your siblings. And you see yourself as someone that's more in control and that you've been able to break cycles instead of letting that cycle continue, repeat, and then imprint on the next generation or those around you. You've been able to recognize the challenges, the issues, the trauma, the adversity, and you've been able to overcome it. So I think that you may have done a lot of ancestral healing. You may have helped to break intergenerational trauma patterns, and you may have actively supported yourself and others through feelings of unfulfilled emotional patterns where, you have good moments, but there is always that conflicting moment of sadness. And instead of accepting that that's enough, you've gone, well, no, wait a minute, we've got to change this. So let's see what the back of this card says again. Certain aspects of you are frozen into patterns that you need to let go of. You need to melt your own hardness inside out, dig into your emotional stubbornness and melt the ice. Yeah, no, you're not stuck, you're not frozen, and you don't accept other people's excuses either. I think because you were able to do things that are deemed hard by melting that proverbial ice, you're not accepting other people's excuses either. You don't subscribe to hurt people, and that's okay. You subscribe to recognizing how you're hurting people so that you don't continue to hurt people. And that's how you hope to foster relationships in your life as well. I think you see yourself as someone that's not afraid to change and let go in order to be happier and in order to be a better person for yourself and for whoever else you seem to be a role model for. And lastly, with the Lovers card here, you do see yourself as an intelligent person and a curious person, someone who has a good sense of humor, someone who values conversation and information. And I think you value people in your close community. You value harmony. You value harmonious relationships. You value a balanced interaction between you and your loved ones. And when it comes to getting to know new people, You value people's authenticity and honesty. You value people for showing up as they are rather than pretending to be something they're not. Even if the pretend version of them is more likable, you'd prefer people to show up authentically, as that's how you expect yourself to be. I think that you see yourself as someone who's got a very rich inner dialogue. Like, you may either talk to yourself or you may have a lot of thoughts, and you may be someone that when you need to make big decisions in life, either you pray or you really take your time weighing over the information, gathering the right information and making decisions that feel balanced with your heart, with your head, and with your values. Now, this values that keeps coming up, it could also be a strong connection to source, spirit, or religion. And it could be that you have to incorporate your spirituality or your religion into your decision making as well, and making sure that you're at peace with those core, like, 3 aspects of your life: your head, your heart, and your religion or your spirit, before you make a choice. With the Lovers card here, I do think that you see yourself as someone that's very curious, whose mind is quite active, and I think that you need to be stimulated mentally in order to foster a meaningful connection with someone, whether it's a fleeting connection and interaction, or if it's a long-term connection, a friendship or a relationship. There has to be that mental stimulation. You have to be almost mentally turned on, like intrigued, and you have to almost feel like you're learning something in order for you to feel like you're connecting with that person. So that's what's come through in terms of how you see yourself. I'm going to pack this up and let's have a look at how other people around you are perceiving your beauty now. How are the people around group 3 perceiving their beauty, please, Spirit? I'm going to use this Arcana of Astrology deck again. How are people around group 3 perceiving their beauty? Okay, for the first card, we have the 4th house reversed. Just going to get another card from here. Thank you, Spirit. We also have Hygeia and Saturn at the back of the deck. I feel like that's quite, is that right? Yeah, I might move this one down a little bit. That's a bit better. And now let's get some tarot. All right. This is the Wild Unknown Tarot deck by Kim Kranz. Spirit, how is group 3 being perceived by those around them in terms of their beauty? Wow, the High Priestess. How is group 3's beauty? We also have the 8 of Coins reversed, and then we have the Sun of Cups at the back of the deck. Is that even? Not really. That's a bit better. Is that better? Yeah. Okay. So it's interesting because for you, I do feel a strong connection to Tiger's Eye and citrine quartz. So these 2 crystals seem to be strong, maybe a little bit of yellow calcite, just that yellow energy. This is another treated citrine. It's just heat treated, so I don't know where you stand on that fence, but it is a form of citrine technically. But the yellowy, even this crystal, what is it again? You guys may know. I think it's a form of jasper. This is standing out to me as well. So, oops, I didn't realize how sticky that side was. Anyway, let's put that side out there, otherwise I'm going to fixate on it. Maybe that's your energy too, fixating on things and being a little critical, and maybe you like things to be done a certain way. Now, in terms of how those around you are perceiving your beauty, let's look at the Arcana of Astrology first. The 4th house came out first, and it came out reversed. So for the most part, I believe that people see you as someone that's hard to please. Like, there is a feeling of your energy demands respect, and there's a part of you that can feel quite authoritative to the point where it's a little intimidating, but it's also dismissive. And I think that it feeds into the certain tropes of like daddy issues, mummy issues, that kind of stuff with the fourth house. You're being perceived at times as a bit of a brat, and at other times you're being perceived as someone who is hard to win over, right? You come across as someone who doesn't have emotional availability for everyone. You keep your nurturing qualities very private, and you purposefully, to some people, practice tough love. So you come across as someone that's quite hard to please in that sense. It kind of feels like if you were a parent, you know, it's very hard to gain your approval and to feel like I'm doing enough as a child, which is the main dynamic that's coming through. So I think that the people around you see you as someone who either embodies certain wounds from your childhood, or you bring out wounds from their childhood by making them compare themselves to, you know, their relationship with their parents when they see you, which is weird, very weird. Now, in terms of your physical beauty, you guys may have a strong features with these cards, especially. You may have a strong or prominent jaw. You may have strong, broad shoulders. You may have strong nose. You may have a strong eyebrow. Like there's just some really prominent square almost features coming through. You may also have like your legs might be a significant feature. There's something there about like your bone structure being quite a significant feature to you. And I think that others perceive you as someone who, like, they may recognize your parents when they look at you, if that makes sense. Like you look like your dad or you look like your mum, or it's quite obvious that, you know, you've inherited your family's features, you look like them, which is interesting. So maybe you spend a lot of time around people who know your family, or your family is quite known. That could be something. Now, outside of that, over here with Hygeia, there is the presumption. Is that the right word, or just assumption? Let's just say assumption. People assume that your health and taking care of yourself is quite important. I think that people notice the efforts that you're putting into your hygiene, especially with Hygeia. So that is beyond, you know, exercising, although that is part of it. It's also about taking care of your skin, you know, taking care of your hygiene as in like your body odor, as in like brushing your teeth. Those are all things that people notice about you, which is really interesting, because why are they close enough to smell that? Maybe you work in close proximity to people, or maybe it's just a pleasant surprise when people get that close to you. They're like, wow, they smell really nice. I think with Hygeia here, people, you know, attribute this idea of high expectations to high hygiene expectations as well, and how that transfers into habits that you've formed for yourself and for your health. So there are themes here of taking care of your body and listening to what it's saying to you about, you know, what you're eating and how much sleep you're getting. And I think that this is even coming from your inner circle. Your inner circle sees you as someone that's a little bit obsessed with their health, that may be a little bit obsessed with their hygiene, and it could be very different to what they practice, or they could feel like you just do a lot, like you almost do too much, I'm hearing. And for some of you, you even like mix deodorants, you mix perfumes, you have a skincare regime, or you may gift people skincare masks or deodorants and perfumes, and they're like, this is too much. Please don't project onto us your own standards. So that's an interesting message that's coming through about that, is how the people close to you see you as someone who's, who believes in taking care of yourself from a hygiene standard, not just from smelling good, looking good, but because it's important for your health. Now, because of that, with Saturn reversed, I do think that you have a bit of a challenging relationship with your family. I think that you're close with most of them, or they're at least quite important to you. But I think that a lot of these perceptions actually come from your inner circle. I think that for the most part, people that don't know you well actually have very positive opinions of you. But I think that maybe people in your close circle really feed into some of your high standards, and they may also perpetuate a bit of an unfulfilling prophecy that you have with your achievements. You may just feel like you're never doing enough. And it could come from your parents or a father with Saturn here. But I think that in general, with Saturn reversed, when people see your beauty, they see you as someone who almost feels unattainable. Like you feel exclusive, you feel out of reach, you feel unrealistic at times, and you can even feel as though you're a lot of work. So I think that people look at you as someone who puts a lot of effort into the way that they look or the way that they present. And there could be this idea from strangers that you come from money because of the clothes you wear, the way you carry yourself, because Saturn isn't just about your clothing, it's about your posture, it's about your gait in terms of how you walk, and it's about the presence that you have, and also a public reputation that you may have as well. So I do think that people may already have a strong understanding of you, either because you are well known or your family's well known, or you live in a place where, people just know each other's families. But I think that overall, the reception is that you come from a good family with a strong reputation, a good reputation for the most part, and very high expectations as well. So that's interesting. Now with these three cards, there's actually a bit more water here, which is interesting because you had a lot of earth energy up until this point. So we're seeing some more water influences. We're seeing Cancer, we're seeing Pisces, and we also have some Scorpio, kind of, mostly Cancer and Pisces. With the High Priestess here, I believe that people are seeing your beauty as one that is very alluring. There is a conscious actually, I don't know if that's the best way to describe it, but people look at you and they know when they're attracted to you. With the High Priestess being here, what's attractive about you is the subtleties. It's not what you do, it's what you don't do that really intrigues people. It's who you don't talk to. It's the conversations you don't have. It's the topics you don't raise, right? It's the rooms you don't enter. I feel that there may be some gossip around you, or some intrigue, some mystery. Maybe you come across as a bit of like an exclusive, high-profile character who's not always in public spaces. But it's quite obvious when you walk into a room that you hold a presence, and your aura emits a strong sense of knowing. You seem to be quite comfortable and confident within yourself in a quiet way, not in a loud way, not in a flashy way, in a quiet way. And this is very attractive. It's the way that you hold yourself and you hold onto your inner power. And this is quite a feminine quality. It's a very disciplined quality as well. It's giving a little bit of demure vibes, and just knowing when to bite your tongue and play into the silence instead of revealing too much. So there is something about this energy that gives siren, right? That gives unbothered, that gives a little bit of disinterested vibes. And this is also an energy that makes that bar of like gaining your approval or your attention feel even more out of reach for a lot of people. So I do think that there is an interesting element here of you just feeling very out of reach to a lot of people. Now, aside from that level of intrigue and mystery, the Eight of Pentacles reversed can kind of talk about how a lot of what you do seems to happen behind the scenes. So there may not be a lot known about you, about what you do with your time, and about how you actually make your money, or about what you're working on. With that being said, how it comes through is that people see your beauty as something that could appear a lot more straightforward than what it is, when really behind the scenes it may have taken a lot of effort and time. But to others, even those in your inner circle, it's almost just seen as not necessarily an effortless thing, but as something that you didn't really have to try to do. So you come across as a natural beauty for the most part. And because of that, even when you put a lot of effort into your appearance, if it takes you 2 hours to wash, dry, style your hair, and then, beat your face, put on some lashes, or if you don't resonate with makeup, any other attention to your appearance, if you do that, and it does take time, I feel like people underestimate how much time it takes. There's this idea that your beauty is natural, is effortless, and is just a part of your appearance, especially with the Eight of Pentacles reversed. It's like it didn't take much time. It didn't take much effort. And this could also be a testament to the strangers that are seeing you just sort of zip down to the local grocery store and pick up, some milk or some bread, some last minute groceries and snacks. Maybe they're seeing you in a more effortless style, in a more effortless way. But it feels like even those close to you have gotten accustomed to the amount of effort you put in, and they actually just think it's a part of you. You doing your nails, or having your lash extensions, or having flawless skin, or looking so rested and vitalized, like it's just you. I don't think that people realize how much time and conscious effort goes into that. So there is this idea that when people look at you, they're appreciating your natural beauty. They're appreciating your bone structure, for example. They're appreciating your walk and the way that you have quite a commanding presence that offers a lot of intrigue, and you're not a loud energy. You're a strong, almost private energy. And that definitely comes through. Now, I don't think that you like to be in public spaces for long periods of time. So I think that kind of feeds into what attracts people and how people see your beauty. They see you as more attractive because you're a fleeting thing. You don't stick around. Once the objective has been served, you're out of there. Once you've gotten your milk, once you've paid that bill, once you've said happy birthday, like you're out of there. You've had your drink, you've had your dance, you're going home. You don't loiter, you don't linger, and yet your presence does. So even though physically you seem to just be in and out of public spaces, energetically your presence lingers, and it's the intrigue, it's the lack of knowing, the unknown, the mystery that really lingers and creates a sense of attraction. So I think that for the most part, a lot of people are attracted to the idea of you, towards the fantasy of you, the illusion of you, and they completely misinterpret who you actually are, what it takes to be you, and what you're actually like in real life. I think you're fantasized and over-romanticized as a person. With the Sun of Cups reversed, there is a little bit of that there too, some Delulu energy. There's also a feeling of, like they just don't have a chance. People that are interested in you assume that, you're not interested in them. They see you as someone who's quite closed off towards romantic advances, and that it would look silly of them to step forward. With the Sun of Cups reversed, maybe a lot of them believe, you're not the type of person that likes corny, goofy, chivalrous gestures. Like you need something more than that. You need something a little bit different to that. And they may also assume that you're already taken. So I'm hearing like that for you, there's a lot of assumptions from people that don't know you well, and even from people that may know you well. They, instead of asking you and actually getting information, they may just assume and then fall into that logic and adopt that logic as knowledge, when no, it's not the truth at all. And I'm feeling that for like your extended family, and even for some of your siblings, if you have siblings, feels like they end up drawing assumptions about you. And very much, I mean, everyone, to be honest, has been underestimated, but I do feel it for you. I feel like, you know, you already have high standards for yourself. If you're not getting recognition from your loved ones, that's definitely going to continue to feed into some of those unfulfilling prophecies that you have for yourself. So I do think with the Sun of Cups reversed, when it comes to strangers and people who get to see you in public spaces, they see your beauty as one that is very intriguing, mysterious, a little, what's the word, like removed, like you're not emotionally available. And you're also, for some of you, intentionally sort of pushing people away and being like, no, like don't approach me, don't come towards me. So that's interesting in terms of how you see yourself. And I do think there are similarities there. I think that, you know, you have your close circle, your strong connections to family, and you are the type of energy that seems to value the traditional roles of partnership, where it is about giving and supporting each other. And I think that you're the type of energy where if you are single, you're still selective and very critical about who you interact with. But when you are in a relationship, there is a strong feeling of loyalty. And I think that it takes a lot for someone else to get your eye. And when they do, it's a very dangerous game of trying to figure out, well, how far is this going to go? So I think a lot of people think that, know that, and may assume that of you. They assume that you're already locked up, tied down, that type of vibes. So they don't even try. It's over before it starts. Let's have a look now at how you can use this information to your advantage. Knowing this, knowing how other people are seeing you, your beauty, and how you perceive yourself. How can you use this information to your advantage? We're going to start with this deck. If I need to pull more cards, I will. This is the Work Your Light Oracle deck. We have Don't Dim to Fit In. Is that showing up? Yeah. How are you dimming your light in order to fit in? We also have the Age of Light. Wow. What is the back of this deck? The bottom. Yeah. You've been training for this for lifetimes. It was reversed. And we're also going to take the back of the deck, which is Inner Temple. And the bottom of this card says Devotion. Tune into the portal of your heart. Now that card was reversed as well. Is that all showing up? Yeah. It is, isn't it? Yeah. It's hard to see from here on the camera. So, it's going to be raining again soon. So I apologize if the light goes dim. There it is. Yeah, it's natural lighting, so we're just working with the elements over here. So Spirit's saying when it comes to tying up this self-esteem reading for you, we've highlighted some interesting themes of how the way that you see yourself and the way that people see you can actually be motivating factors towards your continued success. But it can also be things that get in your head and make you feel like nothing that you're doing is enough. And that's dangerous. It's dangerous to have people project what you know about yourself onto you in a way that makes you feel excluded, right? Like if people are looking at you and going, oh, group 3 is just too good for me. Group 3 is just too private. Group 3 is, they just don't want anyone else in their life right now. Like, there's a lot of assumptions being made about you, and it's quite to me it's like, what? I don't know who you are and whether you are a celebrity or not, but that's how you're being shown in this reading, is like you're out of touch. You can't be available to everyone. And I think that this is self-preservation as well. I think that the role that you play in life is one that is supposed to be ethereally inspiring. You're not supposed to be hands-on involved in everybody's journey. And that even comes down to your family, sweet souls. I think that, yes, you may inherit a strong sense of family, tradition, and values from your parents or from your ancestors. But I also think that you are supposed to create family in this lifetime. And I think that if you know how certain people perceive you, you can also protect yourself from harmful rhetoric. And you can also stand up for yourself when you're faced with assumptions that limit your opportunities. Because if people are dismissing you before they even get to know you, it can feel like a lot of doors actually aren't opening for you, even though people assume they are. So it's really important that you continue to believe in yourself and to create opportunities for yourself, as you've been doing with that Ace of Fire reverse that we saw. Spirit is constantly trying to remind you and show you through experiences and synchronicities that you weren't made to fit in. Don't dim your light. You were built physically with your beauty and mentally and spiritually and emotionally to stand out. You were supposed to have an impact. When you walk into a room, when you perform, when you do your duties, when you show up for yourself and others, you were meant to stand out. You were also meant to be conscious of the reputation that you have. And I think that you will have learning curves. You guys, if you're in public spaces, you may be cancelled at least once with the Age of Light reversed, but this was a learning curve for yourself. You got to be aware of how you're showing up. And you do have a sense of responsibility over you that feels like a role model vibe where people are looking up to you. Your reputation matters. Your public image matters to a certain degree. And it is about almost embodying two different personas at times. The one that is in the public spaces for whatever reason, and then the one that is private, that is cherished, that is authentic. I think that you have to hold on to your authenticity, but you also need to protect your authenticity. I think it's very helpful for someone like you to perform and to have a persona that you can separate from your true identity, so that if that persona suffers criticism, it's not your personal criticism, it's your persona's criticism. And that may be within a professional space, that could be within a performative space if you're in the arts or the entertainment industry. And it could also just be a way of preserving that relationship you have with yourself. So you do have learning curves in this lifetime about identity, about your self-esteem, and about ways to protect yourself while also being authentic towards yourself. And that's one of the ways I think you do that, is by developing other identities that can operate in these other environments. Now, with the Inner Temple card, I believe that this reading can be used to your advantage to help you be more mindful about how you devote your heart, your time, your work ethic. Like, you have a strong sense of values and you are a workhorse. Like, having someone like you in anyone's life, anyone's environment, whether that is within a professional setting or whether that is in a partnership, in a marriage, as a parent, like, it's a complete asset. You are always striving to be your best. And because of that, you're also open towards constructive criticism. So this card is encouraging you to notice who isn't, who around you isn't striving to be their best, and who around you hasn't been constructively working on themselves, being mindful of the criticism they're receiving, and actually bettering themselves, because I do think that a part of your journey is reshaping your family structure and reshaping the important role that the people have in your life. I don't think that all of your blood family are helpful for your journey. And I also think that your friendship circle needs to be very selective. And I'm not trying to make you paranoid, but I do think that once you're in, you're in. You're a loyal person, especially based on your values. And if someone isn't respecting that, then I do think you need to protect yourself and you need to protect your inner temple. Now, this goes both ways. Over time, you have the kind of energy that becomes out of touch with society, because as you form your intergenerational wealth, as you secure your legacy, as you attain financial freedom that can liberate not only yourself but future generations from hardship, you become a part of society that is very out of touch with the way that the majority are living. And so I think an important aspect towards fostering those family values, those traditional values that make you you, is about getting out of your inner temple and connecting with the world around you and actually understanding some of the issues that are impacting the majority of the people in your community. I think that you have an incredible sense of power and privilege, and it's up to you to discern how to stay connected to matters of importance, and how to give back and exercise charity and instill that value into the future generations as well. For some of you, you have the potential to start charitable funds or organizations that can make a real impact. And it may just start with you getting out into your community more and volunteering some of your time, finding ways to stay connected to real world issues that impact a majority of the people close to where you live, let alone on a macro global scale. So it is twofold. As time goes on, I think that you have the tendency to be very isolated in your own little community that you've created. And that can make you very out of touch with some of those core values that you hold on to and cherish and try to imprint on the next generation. So consider that as well as time goes on. But that is what I'm seeing for you, Group 3. I hope this reading has been helpful for you. I'm going to end your YouTube reading now, and we're going to go into the extended reading, where we will focus more on, again, how people are seeing your beauty, but specifically, how are the people you're attracted to seeing you? What is the common misconception about you? What are common misconceptions? It's actually been plural. And is your self-identity limiting your expansion or experiences? So is how you see yourself limiting your opportunities for expansion? And lastly, we're going to close your extended reading with more self-esteem boosters. So if that sounds helpful, and if you would like to continue your reading and support what I do here, the link to your extended reading is in the description box in the pinned comment. Make sure you click on the right reading before you purchase it. Your Group 3, make sure you double check you've selected the right reading and the right group before you spend any money. If you're not able to join me in the extended, another way you can support what I do here is simply by liking this video and subscribing to join the community and be notified of when I post next. Thank you so much for all of your energy, your support, and your time. I appreciate you. I appreciate you for letting me read for you, for letting me be a part of your journey. I wish you peace, prosperity, abundance, happiness, health, wealth, success, and joy as we part ways. Bye.